The Yeti Radio, powered by DavidLeeImaging.com. David Lee Imaging in the Titletown Music Archive and the Live 365 app.
It's alive!
The Yeti.
All right, let's get to work.
3, 2, 1.
Let's do this.
The Phoenix Music Scene on the YetiRadio.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Backstage Lounge in the Yeti Radio. And tonight we have the astute pleasure of having the one and only Saint Madness in studio, in my studio this time. Microphones, sorry. Yes. Yes. I only have two. Sorry.
Okay.
Waiting to hit the lottery so I can do it all upright and get lavaliers for everybody. And
I think it's great. I love this place. You did a great job on it.
There we go. Wrong ones. There we go. Now we're set. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to my den this time.
Glad to be here. Yes.
Yeah, so excited about it. It's 31 years now. And
Is it that long? Holy shit.
And it's well, for me, being probably one of the newest guys in the scene, and not being a musician, a great band to learn from about what goes on here, and it's extremely phenomenal. Thank you for everything that you have done, you do still today, not to mention on the musician side of the house and the band side of the house, but as individuals, as people, as human beings. Thank you. You're amazing people. And there was a particular quote in a movie that said, you judge people by the people they keep around them. And I think I've been in some pretty damn good company so far. Everybody's taken pretty good care of me. And I know you as well. So thank you.
There's a lot of great people in this scene.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. And we'll hopefully get to keep it going. I'm stealing some stuff because you started in 93 as Crown of Thorns. In 97, changed to Saint Madness.
Correct.
And 31 years. I don't know, other than people that have been where they're at, you know, all the stuff on the shelf,
Right.
that stick around for that long period of time. I don't see the underground network, I guess you say,
Yeah.
sticking around that long. I'm sure you're not the only ones, but it's not the bucket's not very full.
Well, another band here in town that's been around, I think, even longer than us is Pelvic Meatloaf.
Yes.
And they've been around forever. You know, I think you find something that you love and you just stick with it. Because I was in music probably for 15 years before we started Crown of Thorns. And I was in a lot of different bands. And I learned a lot of things in that 15 years. One thing was I wanted a legacy. I wanted something that had history to it, and I couldn't do that by band hopping all the time, and I couldn't do that by playing in 3 different bands all the time, because when people see you at that point, they don't know what band to think about. They just see, oh, that guy plays in all these bands, or he was in, I was in a band for 6 months and another band for 2 years and another band. So once we started Crown of Thorns, and really the thing that sealed the deal was when we put on face paint in 95 and we were Saint Madness, and after that in 97. But when we put on the face paint and added the theatrical show and all that, I just fell in love with it. And what's funny is I was a Kiss fan when I was a teenager, huge Kiss fan. Never did I picture myself ever doing anything like that. I just loved what they did. But what brought it on was the alternative movement got really popular here in town, alternative music, so forth, in the early 90s. And people started putting down metal bands. And like, you're an idiot if you play metal. That's stupid. They're all spandex and poodle haircuts and blah, blah, blah. And I got angry. And Marge and I were out shopping one day, and we had a very important show coming up. And I said, you know what? Next show, I'm going to wear face paint. And she's like, why? I said, I got to change. I got to have something different. I need to do something different. So I went to the band at that time, and I truly, truly thought they were going to laugh me out of the rehearsal place. I said, guys, next show I'm going to wear face paint. You guys don't have to do it. I'll be like King Diamond or whatever. I'll do it myself. But I got to have a change, because we already had cool lights and some smoke and some banners, but I wanted to add to the theatricality of it all. So our bass player at the time, Randy Axe, said, well, if you're going to do it, we better do it or we'll look stupid. I didn't expect that response. From that day on, we started wearing face paint, and we still do to this day. And I still love it as much as ever. You know, there's something that happens to a person when they put on a mask or face paint. I'm sure when you talk to the Show Me God guys, I'm sure they'll tell you the same thing. Once you put on that persona, it's like your alter ego comes out that's not normally out, you know.
Right.
And you find a lot of different things in you creatively, and it's just really amazing.
It's like those other things that crap, now I can't think of the word. They remove your inhibitions. Your inhibitions.
Yes.
Right.
Like alcohol.
Yeah, like alcohol.
It's like alcohol, only different.
I put the costume on, and
Yeah.
I'm now the Yeti, and
Right.
Yeah, so you know.
yeah.
You know,
And
and
it's
just a weird
funny.
thing.
There's a particular person that she talks to me like I'm me when it's me, but the costume is her boyfriend.
I get
So
And the furries a little bit. Oh, yeah.
look, I'll tell you, costumes, they do things to people.
Yes, they do.
it.
They do.
that's
You
the
learn
reason-
some things about people.
And that's the reason why it lasted 31 years, is just really because I speak only for myself, but I found something I truly love and I believe in. And I had a choice. I could either keep it, because, over the years we've had a lot of different band members or different actors. There were some times when I thought the band was over in 2012, and Sid sent me a message online and said, hey, I'd love to be your guitar player if you'll have me. I'm like, are you kidding? You're kidding, right? Because he hadn't been in a band about 10 years at that time. But I've known him since 1990, and I always knew what a badass guitar player he is. So I said, if you're serious, come down and we'll jam and see what we can do. And I told Marge, because she didn't know him, I said, listen, this guy, if he comes down and it works the way I think it's gonna, we can build a whole band around that.
Absolutely.
And so he came down and we jammed, and that was 12 years ago. So
That is absolutely amazing. Since we don't have the music tonight, I haven't got everything set up to be able to monitor in case somebody throws a question in the chat rooms. So give me a quick second, and we'll have it all set up, and we'll get on to a question that will... Give me a quick second, and we'll have it all set up.
One of those other things about the makeup, too, I mean, it really changed the band in itself. But don't you agree it's timeless, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's a beautiful thing. We might change the looks
I
of
agree.
sometimes. But, I mean, that's one of the most beautiful things. I mean,
Right, absolutely. Well, and if I ever had the opportunity to interview at least Paul Stanley, if not the whole band,
right.
my question would be if, when he was with his family and they were doing Phantom of the Opera in New York,
right.
in New York City, if that had any effect or impression on Kiss with the makeup and the theatrical part of it.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but it may have.
Yeah,
Because I read all their books. I met all the members.
Okay.
all the first four, and then I met Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer.
Okay.
The nicest person in Kiss that as far as my encounter with, was Paul Stanley, by far. Really nice guy. Took time out to talk to you and hang out, and it was
That's
really
amazing.
something. Yeah.
It was somebody had made a post about the different genres, and the metal genre is the nicest out of the bunch.
Isn't that funny? You know,
Big bad metal guys. We are softy on the inside.
you know why? Because metal is about having fun and partying and getting loud and getting crazy, but it's not about being awful to people.
Right.
No,
You know,
it's about expressing yourself. It's all about expressing
it's about
yourself.
having a good time, man.
That
Metal
too.
concerts are fun. You know,
Burning
people
all
like
that
to
energy.
mosh and all, yeah. Back in the days, all the women were showing their tits and all. I mean, I loved all that, and I'm glad I got to live through it all. It was fun, you know. People these days are a lot more inhibited, maybe, or because of political correctness and things like that. Metal stood against all that. Metal was the alternative to the shit you heard on the radio all the time. Metal was where we were the alternate personalities of society. We were the bad boys, but we weren't the mean people. We weren't awful to society.
Yes.
We just wanted to party and make loud music and have fun.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to interrupt it and make you conform. Like, why?
And that
We're
gave
only
us
up-
good songwriting material.
Right?
You know?
Excellent songwriting material. But when you're only here for 28,500 days on average, who cares?
Right?
Like, you're here for a very short period of time. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You do you and stay out of me, because
Right.
you don't belong here. You know?
And you know,
Live and
the
let live.
harsh reality of human existence is if human beings are on the planet long enough, even Elvis will be forgotten. I mean, right now it's 50 years since he died, and so we still love him and talk. You know, add another 300 years to that. You know what I mean? That's the truth of... That's why I don't live as if planet Earth is my forever home, because I know it's not. We're here 80 years if we're lucky. That goes by really fast. And people are willing to kill other people for money and power and fame, for that fleeting moment. Young people today, if they're 21, they're like, man, I got my whole life ahead of me. Your whole life's going to be over in 3 blinks. You don't know it now. I didn't know it when they tried to warn me. They said, look, enjoy being young. But when you see that first gray hair show up, you know it's on the way out. I mean, but that's okay, you know. But I live every day being grateful for what I have, every day, you know.
That's
And
really good for Music Manifesto. I mean, you explain it right there in that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah,
You know, that's all these people get to have fun and have a good time. That's
absolutely.
all we're all about. You know, have a good show.
what are you gonna say, Ted?
Nothing
Come on,
yet.
teddy bear.
Yeah, we're not face paint or nothing. This is just truly us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, truly the guys of the band this time.
Yeah.
Um,
And we got this guy here.
Sid Ripster.
drove all the way down. How was the
a
drive?
Nice drive. It was a good drive.
Was it a
yeah.
good drive?
Yeah.
You got up before the damn dust storm came through, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got down here before the dust storm.
Yeah.
Went and washed the car and then went right into a dust storm.
That's my luck. I washed the car last night before I went to the Blues for the challenge, and today, dust storm. Yeah.
Did you happen to see the tree across the street over here?
I did.
Yeah.
Coming through the
it's-
neighborhood, lots of trees down, you know, but it's
Yeah.
a big dust storm going on out here. But
Welcome
you
to the
know,
monsoon.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Welcome to the Dust Bowl. I mean,
40
the
to
Valley
60
of the
mile an
Sun.
hour winds. When was it? I forget, and I apologize. When was it you started Nasty Prick Records?
1994.
94,
And the
okay.
reason we started it was we didn't have a label and we had an album we were making. And I thought, well, we'll just make our own label. We don't need a label. We'll just put it out ourselves. And the first major band to do that, I think, was the Beatles with Apple Records. And then Led Zeppelin did it with Swan Song.
Okay.
Because they figured out one day, we're giving all this money to a label, And of course, they were big enough at that point where they had enough financial capital. Excuse you, man. they had enough,
Wow.
they had enough financial capital that they could start their own label. Now,
Absolutely.
oddly enough, we live in a world where everybody's starting their own labels. So we did that way back in 1994. So we were called Crown of Thorns. And people, you know, when they first hear Nasty Prick Records, I know exactly what they think. But a thorn will give you a nasty prick. And we were called Crown of Thorns. So I
Right.
wanted a label that went with the band name. And that's how we came up with that.
Right. Just like Kiss was Kids in Satan's Service.
Right.
Knights in
Really?
Satan.
Or
Come on,
Knights
come
in
on.
Satan's Service.
Or Knights.
My very first favorite.
Yeah.
Love that band.
Yeah.
It kills me. All the cliches and people that want to jab, they'll find anything, and it kills me.
Well, my mom was pretty religious, and she did not like me listening to a band with Gene Simmons in it, The Demon and all that. She's like, that's all Satan. Because she didn't know any better. She didn't understand that, like, what we do is heavy metal theater.
It's a show.
It's a show. That's it. It's entertainment. We don't go home and drink blood and worship. At least I don't. I don't know about these guys.
Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
I'm still mad at that babysitter wherever you are that made me break my records when I was like 7. Mom came home. I was like,
No, it's all for entertainment. It's a
Absolutely.
show. That's it.
And anybody that doesn't get that is, I don't know that there's any help for them.
I remember a time when everybody was scared of Alice
Yes.
Cooper and Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Really, for
I was
real.
scared of Ozzy.
You know?
And for reals, when I was young, I was probably in junior high, and one of my buddies had a lot of records. He had the Kiss records and all that, and he was really into it, but he got out of it. He was into something else, and he asked me, "Do you want these?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll take them." So I'm listening to Alice Cooper, you know, his greatest hits, you know, AC/DC, Kiss. I've got all these albums, and my parents were like that. You know, they came and they found out that I was listening to them on the headphones, and when I was gone at school, they saw them up in the closet and they threw them all away. Threw them in the trash and told me, you can't listen to that, you know, and we'll go get you some alternative records, you know, this, that, you know, other, you know,
Some
records.
Beach Boys.
Or Christian rock or something like that.
The Striper.
Yeah, well, before
No offense with
no, but
Stryper.
even before Striper. So which I like, by the way, Striper.
Yeah,
but anyways, so
Playing a church band.
they threw them away, told me why they did it, you know, and I was really upset. And so I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I went out to trash and got all the records and stashed them.
Nice.
Okay, they had no idea. So I listened to them for years afterwards, right? But those,
Nice.
but those records are what I learned on. One was Black Sabbath, The Paranoid, and so when I'd play my guitar and literally played all those, you know, whatever I could. That's how I learned, you know. But that was a kind of a blessing for me. I've always liked those albums, and it's a lot different. But then nowadays, when you're trying to learn a part, you had to pick up the needle and move it back, and then start playing, and then pick it up and move it back, and it would get frustrating. Or you'd slow it down and move it by hand, you know, to try to hear what it's doing.
Or rewind the cassette tape. Or
Yeah, yes.
Whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. What type of format for your music do you prefer? Vinyl, tape, CD, or like
8-track.
I
Reel to
still
reel.
think
I do have reel-to-reel and an 8-track player.
the
Yeah,
closest
I have an
thing
8-track.
to vinyl is probably CDs, because, but there's nothing like vinyl. You know, to be honest, it just has a warmth and everything to it. But most of our stuff's on CDs, and I'm good with that. When you digitize things, it's getting better. But when it was first MP3, when that all came out, it was really thin sounding, you know. So you lost a lot of the depth in the production and the recording. But whereas CDs, I think, maintained it. You could hear everything really good. But then they said, well, CDs don't last, and that's why we're switching digital. But what's odd is I've got some CDs that are when CDs were first made, and they sound great to me. They still sound fine.
I've got some vinyl I'd just like to record and make MP3s and listen to vinyl digitally, because it should still maybe pick it all up if you record the actual vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, you get the lump and the scratch and the little
Right.
ticks in it.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to
And
try
I
that.
don't know why that is, but vinyl recordings just capture the actual sound.
Yeah,
I mean, and like I said, the warmth in the recordings.
I used to have people come to my shows when I was with other stations, internet stations, just because I played vinyl.
Mhm.
And they're like, "You got this on vinyl?" I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "Okay, I'm staying."
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's great that there's all different kinds. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like music itself. I'm glad there's all different kinds of music out there for everybody. You know, some people still love cassette tapes. Some people still love VHS tapes. You know, I think it's great. I think they should never totally get rid of anything. Now, if you move on to something new, I get that, but you should never totally get rid of the original ways, because that was the granddaddy of it all. There you go.
I still have a couple left.
Our first album came out on cassette tape,
right?
you know. And then we made CDs of it later, but originally it was a cassette release.
Nice.
How do you think it sounds on SoundCloud, like the Saint Madness transfer now, in your opinion? Because one of my kids, they do all their music on SoundCloud. And phenomenal, you know, for the genre of music that they play. But I don't know. What do you think from the SoundCloud? I like it. I mean,
I think it
easy
sounds
access.
good, but I don't think it sounds as good as like if you listen to a CD. I don't think it sounds as good, but it sounds acceptable to me. That's my opinion.
Now, one thing I notice when I'm streaming, if I don't go for the high, like 720 or above, I can totally hear the difference in the music that's coming out, like my Bluetooth player, because like what you were saying, the higher resolutions, there's so much more depth and spaciousness to it, and you can hear it. You can actually hear the depth come alive. When it's all squashed in MP3s, like you can do different levels of quality for your MP3, but the problem is that if you don't do the best quality, it's still never as good as a CD. And you lose that depth. You can hear it. It's that dimension that's in the mix.
But see, now with the newer generation, they don't know the difference, so they don't know what has been lost, because they are only used to what they have, which is digital.
Right.
I know a lot of young people will, when CDs were starting to go out, they would buy a CD, like I said earlier. They would open it, throw the book away, get the CD, put it in their computer, throw the CD away. They got it on their iPhone or whatever, you know. And I understand it. I do. It's so much easier that way. But I love the days when you heard a band was coming out with an album and you got so excited. You're like, man, I can't wait. You know, Black Sabbath or Ozzy or Van Halen or whoever's coming out with a new record, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and you waited for that thing. And then when you got it in your hands, it was such a rush. And then you would go through the liner notes and everything and the artwork, and it was a whole package deal instead of just, I like those songs.
And you might even get together with a bunch of your friends from around the neighborhood and listen to it when you first got it, which is really cool, listening to music with your friends.
Absolutely.
And
then get with your
and getting stoned.
Oh, hey.
Hey, what? Oh, wait a minute. That's legal now.
Yeah, now it's no fun. It's legal.
Right. What should a band have to sacrifice to be successful?
Maybe everything.
Or at least be willing to sacrifice, I should say, yes.
And
Time.
so much of
Lots of time.
the music industry, and I'll bet acting and everything is exactly the same. Sometimes it's who you know. It's the right place at the right time. It's putting out the right song at the right time. You know, where all of a sudden a shitload of people go, wow. You know, if you would have put that song out a year earlier, nobody would have cared. You know, but if you put out the right piece of art at the right time, that's why I think it's important to. I'll speak for myself. I'm an old guy now, and I've done this for over 40 years, and I never made a ton of money and all that. I lived in the underground my entire time of being in music. and I had a hell of a ride. And I didn't get the money that I wanted, but I definitely got the sex, drugs, and rock and roll for a lot of years. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I've been so fortunate and so blessed, and I'm so grateful. You know, we made a bunch of albums in this band, and there's probably 30 people on all our albums, I'm guessing. But that's 30 family members over the years that we all have a stake in it. We're all a part of it. And we'll take that to our grave with us, you know. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into something that we believed in. And there are stations all over the world that play our music, and we've been in magazines all over the world. No, we didn't make a ton of money, but we had one song make about $10,000 in royalties because a punk band called Guttermouth did a cover of our song Sexual Abuse for an album called Punk Goes Metal that came out in 2000. And we got approximately $10,000 in royalties for that.
Nice.
So we have that. I mean, the band played with Van Halen. How many bands can say that?
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know? So I can't complain, you know. I'm just very grateful for everything. And I think if you go into it with that spirit of, I want to believe in myself, I want to put my heart in my music, I want to love my art, I'll do it for the love of the art, and come what may. Whatever happens, great. If I blow up and we get really big, great. If we stay in the underground forever, great. But I want to make art. It's going to be my art that I'm part of. I want to be proud of that, and I want to be grateful for it and enjoy it. If you go into it with that attitude, amazing things can happen.
What are you excited about this lineup, Pat? Prophet.
I'm excited that we're older and that we're men and that, you know, we have families and we have responsibilities. Because when I was in bands in my early 20s, it was all about drugs and drinking and fucking, and it was great. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but it's better now because you don't have all those crazy emotions that you had when you got one. I mean, at one point in a band, we had a drummer that was a tweaker, a bass player that was a drunk, me, a singer who was sober. All these personalities trying to collide together to create art, and basically that was our first album. That's the truth.
That would have been a good name.
That's the truth,
too, right?
you know. But we did it, and we made a great album. I love "Loneliness Is Black." Okay, and I was a tweaker in my day, but before this band ever started, I got sober and clean in 1990. But because the 80s were so fun that I was already done by 90. By 1990, I got cleaned up because I was dying. I was just dying.
Not everybody can be Keith Richards, huh?
No, and I'll tell you something. For the first couple years, getting on stage sober and not having a little bit of coke or something to really get that show going for me, I felt like a naked guy on stage. I mean, it was really kind of strange. When I was in Blitzen, pretty much the whole time I was in Blitzen, I always felt a little bit naked on stage. Because I didn't realize that I had used the alcohol and the drugs as such a crutch. Like I did it right before every show. I had to have it, you know. So suddenly to get up there totally straight was crazy. Because I didn't even smoke pot for almost 7 years. So I was completely clean and sober till Halloween of 1996. That's when I smoked a joint again. But you know, people will say to me, all these years now, you play in bars all the time. You know, is that ever hard? And I'm like, no, because I'm not anti-drinking. Obviously, our job is to sell alcohol, right? I'm not anti-alcohol, but I'm anti-me drinking it, you know, because I change into someone I don't like. But as far as other people, if you enjoy it and you have fun, please have fun, you know.
Just drink responsibly.
Just
absolutely
try to drink responsibly, have fun, don't hurt anybody, you know. I never knew what Pat I was going to be when I drank. Like, was I going to be the fun guy or was I going to be a dickhead? Was I going to be angry or was I going to be, you know, laughing? I couldn't control it anymore. And I hated who I saw in the mirror, so I had to stop. That's why I'm still sitting here.
Right.
I was 129 pounds when I got clean off meth. I was like, my clothes looked like they were hanging on a hanger. I was that skinny, and I thought I was fine, but I knew inside I wasn't, because you look in the mirror. Mm-hmm. But nobody thought I was going to make it, not even my own mother, who was my best friend. She didn't think I'd stay clean and sober. But by the time I got clean and sober, I was done. I was ready, and I knew it. I knew I was done. And I had a little baby, a son, that was like 1.5 years old, and one day I'm doing lines of tweak on my counter in my kitchen, and he was in the playpen, and I looked down at him, and he looked up at me with this big smile on his face like I was God. And I thought, if you knew what your dad was doing right now, you'd hate me, because I hated me, And I realized, look, either get real or fuck off. That kid needs you. And so I did whatever I had to do, and I haven't looked back. I haven't gone back.
I appreciate that.
Yes, extremely. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's an amazing story.
But I'll tell you something else just to add the top on it. God did it. I didn't.
True.
Whether you believe in God or not, that's
Right.
up to you. I'm telling you, I believe in God, and God got me clean and sober, because I tried many times on my own and I couldn't accomplish it. And when I gave everything over and I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I can't make it. I need help. And I got clean and sober. So.
Nice. I feel like I should give you a hug real quick. No, I mean, it's great, man. I mean, but Ted's been in the band. How long you been in the band now?
5.5 years.
Sorry. How long?
5.5 years.
Like, what excites you about us? I mean, I love that Sid's back. I think that's great. I'm blessed that you have graced me into this band. But what do you see for our future in this? I mean, because I'm sure the fans want to know. I'm sure you want to know too.
Absolutely.
I mean, what really excites you?
Well, I'm gonna turn the interview mic over to you.
No. Well, I mean, it's just I don't get to spend a lot of time with Sid. This is like the second time in person we've really got to spend some time together. And
right.
Because
you've been with the band.
What's it been?
Gosh,
5 months.
Since January, I think.
Yeah, it's been and it's been
insane.
Yeah,
it's been a whirlwind. Yeah.
So, poor guy. He joined the band, and we were all excited, and then one catastrophe after another started happening.
Right.
And it was like, I feel so bad. I'm like, because this guy is such a great bass player and such a great person, and he deserves to be out there.
Appreciate that.
And yeah. At some point, we'll start talking about Evil T, because we need to talk about him,
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, and not knowing you like know each other, that was, I was floored. I was just like, man, wow. And I was at the Blues and saw him and his wife, and I'm like, I didn't know what to say or do. I don't, obviously don't want to step on toes, and never trying to be disrespectful about anything, but when's a good time to, because we had already been talking about trying to get you back in here because of about the time you were looking for him. And as soon as you found him, we were like, hey, let's do this, and then that happened, and I'm like, I ain't saying shit to nobody.
Man,
because I can't imagine.
I'll speak for me again. I was so happy when we got Jason and we had Evil T, and I was so happy, Evil T is, of all the drummers I've ever played with in my life, not just St. Madness, he was my favorite. And not just his drumming, as a personality and his creativity. He did a lot more than just drum. He knew how to play guitar, he could play bass, he could play keyboards, he sang.
Yeah. Record.
He was great with samples, great with the computer.
He's a great writer. He's a great writer.
What a great sense of humor, too. I mean, he had such a dry sense of humor. We're not looking to replace him, but we need a new drummer. And
It's not that easy. It hasn't been that easy.
no, but it never is, and that's what I've tried to explain. Sid understands, because he knows, because we've gone through a couple of band member changes since Sid joined the band in 2012. And it's the weirdest thing. It's like looking for a girlfriend, you know. When you're out there looking, if you're even the slightest bit desperate, they smell it on you. They smell it on you, and they run the other way. But if you have self-confidence, and you believe in what you're doing, and you believe in yourself, they get attracted to you. And so it's like that, because, look, being in a band is like a marriage, especially if it's a band that has longevity. It's a marriage. You spend more time with the people in your band than sometimes your own family.
Right.
So when you're looking for a member, it's very important that you believe in yourself and in what you're doing, that you don't look desperate, because if they think you're desperate, then they think, I'll get in there and I'll change the band and I'll do this and it'll be my band. But that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
We're looking for a team player that is kind of like us, that's played around a long time, that understands the politics and bullshit of bands and is tired of that, and wants to be in a brotherhood, a family, and support each other. And, you know, I've always been a person, I want everybody in the band to have their own fans. It's not the Prophet show. I'm not up there singing a cappella by myself.
Right.
I need my band. I love my band. I want them all to do good. I want them all to have fans. It's not about just me. And I've been in bands where you had one leader and they micromanaged everything and over, you know, took control of basically everything.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I don't want to be that guy. And I don't like people like that. So we all come up with our own images, and Evil T came up with his. It was even the face paint. The first time he painted his face, it looked fucking great.
Right,
you know,
right.
I've got some old pictures where, I mean, I'd kind of be in now because I look like a drag queen. And that was not the intention. I was trying to look scary. And I look back at those pictures and I'm like, oh my, did you throw all those out? I hope those aren't online too much. But it's like shows. You have good nights and bad nights of painting your face. Some nights you paint your face and you're like, man, this looks like it was done by a Hollywood artist, you know. Other nights it just looks like total shit. And I don't know, you know.
The more you try to fix it, the more you fuck it up.
Right?
Right.
But luckily with our band, you can paint your face and then do this, and it still looks cool.
Right.
Because what's the point, you know? It's like... But yeah, Evil T was beyond a personality. And, I mean, we're shell-shocked from losing him. Because it was so sudden. It was like we had just rehearsed with him, and he seemed normal. You know, just perfectly fine. And then he went home, and a few days later, passed away. And Jason was the one who went to check on him and found him.
Man.
I mean, I don't even know, like, I don't even know what to say to this day on that you had to walk in there and find your brother like that. I mean...
Well, I mean... You want the story, I'm sure, right?
If you're willing and
yeah,
want
man,
to, this is part of the why.
Well, I know you got an
today's
agenda,
today.
and I don't want to step on toes.
I don't have an agenda. This is Saint Madness.
Yeah.
So this is you guys. So
well, you know, it was weird. We had a good practice. It was knuckle bump at the end. Some silly comments made by the time we all get in our vehicles and leave the studio. And, you know, that was it. We were going to meet up the next week. And I think something had happened on that Monday where we're like, we're going to wait till Wednesday. And then, but we just had a lot of stuff going on with the band, without the band, I should say, personal stuff, you know. I think you were getting ready to make a big move at that time. Mm-hmm. So everybody had a lot going on. And they had reached out to me. I think Ted or Pat. It was Ted that reached out because Marge had reached out to you, I think. Yeah. And I had more of a flexible schedule, so I was in the vicinity of the area.
His family contacted Marge or Ted and sent me one, but I was at work. I couldn't read it. They said, "Hey, he didn't show up for work, and that's not like him." And
what they didn't tell us was he didn't show up for 2 days, and that would have been a little bit different. And Evil T always had the saying, "Don't you ever call the cops."
That's right.
To do a wellness check, like don't call the cops if I don't show up.
Huh?
What was the story?
He missed a rehearsal.
Yeah,
and we were worried.
Because he fell asleep after work or whatever. Yeah.
Supposed to be in my house, and he didn't show up to go to practice. And got a hold of Pat, and I said, "Well, what am I supposed to do? We should be leaving like 10 minutes ago,
Yeah.
you know." And he's not here, not answering his phone.
We
started
almost called the cops.
texting after that on the group text, and Pat said something about doing a wellness. Maybe I should call the cops and do a wellness check. And about 10 minutes later, Tim pops up and says, "No, I'm fine. I just overslept. Don't ever fucking call the cops."
So we didn't this time.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what's in his house that we don't need to be calling the cops for?
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, just a big 40-pound cat, which I love that cat to death. That was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just unfortunate. So I decided to go over there and and talked with the property manager, and we went up there, and I was so scared he was going to be pissed, because I didn't want to intrude on him, and so they got us access, talked with his family, and opened the door and looked around. Everything looked fine. The cat was there, and then I found him, and he had an aneurysm, I guess, and there was blood. So I grabbed his shoulder. And I tried to shake him, and he was cold. And a lot of 2 years ago, I found my dad, and he had passed. So there's, I think, a lot of that brings into it, because I'm the newest member of the band. And him and I had one car ride together from the studio back over there. He was a man of, I wouldn't say many words, but when he did have something to say, he would let you know, and he had a lot of fart jokes. But I had reached over to him, and it was just a blur, and there was just nothing. And I remember telling the lady and yelling at her to call the police, and the fire department came, and come to find out, he had been there for at least a day or something. It didn't look like it, but yeah, it was not good, and it makes you really think about life and how short it is, and the things that we all look at and complain about, and mad at people, this and that. None of it matters, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
And it's been definitely different for practice. Now we still practice, we still have our same schedule. Out of respect for Tim, we waited for a little bit, talked with the family, and then decided to start looking out. And we just want to find somebody who wants to make some good music, have a good time. I mean, we are pretty disciplined in what we do, and we want to schedule, we want to play out. Ted's been dying to play. He's going crazy over there, but we just want to play some good music. And I've been blessed, and the only two drummers I've ever had is Evil T and my other drummer Dave from my other band, and he's phenomenal too. But I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. Just get another awesome drummer. It's not working that way, man. No. It's not working that way. But we're just excited. We have a good time. I chase Ted around the studio when we're playing music, and messes with my bass.
Yep.
Have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, because we have 3 songs written that were supposed to be on Last Rites, The Final Blessing, that we still need to record. And I'm willing to take in a outside drummer. I already have one in mind, if we have to do it that way, just to record those 3 songs to finish the album. But I'd much rather find the right drummer and have them be a part of the band and then finish the album that way. But they're 3 great songs, and I don't... here's what's odd, okay? When Evil T passed, the last album he was working on is called Last Rites, The Final Blessing. The last song he was working on with us is called It's Always Hard to Say Goodbye. Mm-hmm. And he died literally right before Memorial Day. Those 3 things were just like, wow, it's like, I don't know, it hit me. Other people might be, so what? That doesn't mean nothing. But to me, it was like, the last song that we were working on, like I said, I love that song. It's our newest song. It's called "It's Always Hard to Say Goodbye," and the music was written by Ted. And Tim Evil T had just added some keyboard parts to it.
Yeah, and that breakdown.
And
And
middle
the breakdown.
section.
And he
Middle
wrote the
section.
middle section of the song on guitar.
No.
Yeah.
The drummer
Wow.
did. And then he was gone. Just like that. And I'm still hungover from it. I think hungover is a great way to describe feelings because I'm not right mentally and physically yet. Like I moved on, I'm living my life, but inside, I'm still like, I wish he wasn't gone, you know.
It takes a toll no matter what. I have people tell me that I'm an asshole because of the way I feel about death. It's coming. 1,000% guaranteed. We don't know when. We don't know why. Nothing we can do about it. I don't want it to happen either, but it still hurts. And the instances that are like this one, where it came out of nowhere,
Right.
that's even harder.
It's like a car wreck. You don't expect it, and all of a sudden, your whole world changes in 1 second,
Yes.
you know.
You know, bad enough when you have somebody that's ill and you see it coming, so you start
Right.
trying to mentally prepare. I used to say prepare, but I was told you can't prepare for that. You can mentally prepare for it. It's still gonna suck. It's still gonna hurt. Don't get me wrong. And and I'm still afraid of it, but it's gonna happen. There's nothing I can do about it. And I just the surprise ones are the ones that always obviously hit the hardest because there was no time to say, okay, this is what's going to happen, and
Right.
it doesn't happen. And you're like, wow. That coffee cup down there is one of ours. The Widowmaker went out. He was standing 6'10", 325 pounds. Looked at his girlfriend and I don't feel good. And
Yeah.
like that.
You
And
just never
it's
know.
just like, how do you know? But yes, it's
No, and my mother had
Understand.
ALS, and Margie and my son Josh and I took care of her for almost 2 years, and of course we knew it was coming and all, and you try to prepare and all that. We said our goodbyes, and I forgive you, you forgive me, all that. But it was torture watching her wither away to nothing, and then we watched her stop breathing, you know. But with Evil T, it was like he was his normal self, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
There was no goodbyes. There was no, we'll be there for you, or whatever, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Harsh reality of life, man. It's just. Now what do? We just move on. I mean, we have to. We got the blessing from his family, which is,
right, absolutely.
so great.
And I saw that post and was like, okay.
Yeah.
They've been.
And he would want us to move on, you know. He loved the band very much. And he was with us 7 years,
Yes.
you know. That's a long time.
Do we have any of his music up there? Go ahead, Sid. I'm sorry, buddy.
I just wanted to say, as far as Evil T goes, I agree. He's the best drummer that, not only just as a musician, but
Total.
as a person and a friend, as an individual, as a man. The thing that went so deep with us is that we were really connected musically.
Yeah.
We could improvise on the spot, and it sounded like we wrote a song. And it's like we got to that point, and it was so easy to write music with Evil T, because he always had something, always had a beat, always had something. As a matter of fact, we'd start practice with, you want a riff or a beat? What do we start with? And we'd switch back and forth, you know,
Right.
but we'd always get a song out of it. You know, it sounded like a song. But the thing that was most funny was his sense of dry humor. And he had a little sample machine. and he would put things on that sample machine. And just out of nowhere, you'd hear something like, "Hurry up! I got a hot shit in the chamber," or something like that.
I don't know where he'd do that on stage.
Yeah. So that would always make me laugh all the time. Even if I knew it was coming, it would make me laugh. And the sad thing now is, and maybe it's not sad, but I remember him every time I hear a Van Halen song. And I hear that little sample that he would play of David Lee Roth
screaming.
Yeah, because it's isolated, no music behind it. And every time I hear the song now, I think of Evil T.
Yeah.
And I laugh. It's
Welcome to the YetiRadio.com.
Don't fuck it up.
With us. Elvis.
I don't know why that just happened.
It crashed because I was talking too loud.
No. Something weird's going on.
It's
Well, you
Evil
were
T.
talking about Evil T and the sample machine. I have a welcome to the YetiRadio.com.
Yes.
And there's a guy on TikTok. I don't know if he's an actual cook or a chef, but he's got some really cool recipes. His tagline is "Don't fuck it up."
Right.
And so I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, make me a liner." And I saw that he read it, but he never responded. And I was serious, so I stole it and I put it on there. I was queuing it for later, and it just went off in the middle of that conversation. I apologize.
So did you ever see us when we had Howard Presley performing with us?
No.
Elvis in the jumpsuit. So Howard performed with us since probably the late 90s. And he was just a normal crew member. And one day I'm looking at him and we're talking about Elvis. And I said, Howard, because Howard was a little pudgy, and I said, would you ever consider putting on an Elvis jumpsuit and maybe just come out on stage, throw some karate kicks or whatever, for fun? He goes, I could do that. So we ran right away to the costume shop and found this white jumpsuit that fit him perfect. And from the moment he put on that jumpsuit, he changed, like we were talking about. Mm-hmm. So when Evil T was in the band, Howard, originally we wrote a song for Howard called Evil Elvis. If you look up the song Evil Elvis by St. Madness, that was written for Howard Presley. His name's Howard Hansen, but we named him Howard Presley. So, but then we recorded Can't Help Falling in Love with You by Elvis for the Bloodluscapades album. And Howard thought it'd be a good idea, and we thought too, we'll have you do your bit during that, because that's Elvis's iconic. He used to end every concert with Can't Help Falling in Love with You. So we do that. And all of a sudden, Howard's up there doing his karate kicks, and all of a sudden you hear these giant fart noises coming out of the PA. And it was Evil T. He had this sample of all these different rank sounding farts.
So when he would
like
kick.
really bad, wet, long farts. And so Howard's up there like, and he's doing kicks and all that, and you have these giant farts going on, and that was Evil T's sense of humor, man. He was just the best,
Absolutely.
And another time we played, I got to tell this story, because we were playing out at Krusty Palms, which is on the Indian reservation by Gila River, I think, or somewhere around there. And it was summertime, and we had a moth pit. Whenever we played, there were all these moths that were flying in a circle
around the lights. Yeah.
What we didn't know was Evil T's back there playing drums, and because he has face paint on, whenever these dumb bugs are landing on his face, they're stuck to his face. So by the end of the show, he had bugs stuck all over his
The real Mothman.
But yeah, he just, we'd say we're going to do something, and he was just, okay. He'd just do it. And
as long as it wasn't Wasted Years.
Yeah, he did. We do a version of Wasted Years, and for some reason he was just tired of that song. Man, I don't want to play that song anymore. I'm like, we got to record it. We got a good version of it, but nobody liked him. I mean, there's just nobody liked. So when we find a new drummer, we're not looking to replace Evil T. We're not looking for Evil T Part 2.
Right.
We're looking for somebody totally brand new, because I don't want to put that weight on anybody's shoulders to try to, imagine a guy like Gary Cherone joining Van Halen after David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar. I mean, that had to be like a lot of stress. I don't want to do that. When we find a drummer, we're going to start over new, and not compare to anybody, and just move on from there. So I don't want anybody out there to think, oh God, they love that guy. So it's kind of like when Jason joined Metallica. Look what he went through. I would never do that to somebody, because you can't. It's not fair.
Right. Yeah, because no matter, you're still your own individual performer and musician, and to sound like somebody else, it literally doesn't make sense.
No, or like when Jakey Lee joined Ozzy after Randy Rhoads passed away. I mean, that had to be stressful.
Oh God, could you add that? Yeah.
And Jake is a totally different player than Randy, but he pulled it. I was at the S Festival, which was Jake's first major show with Ozzy, and we were right up front and right in front of Jake. In fact, people in the crowd didn't even know who Ozzy was going to have as a guitar player. So out came this guy with this long black curly hair, and he was just phenomenal. Like, I spent most of the time watching him and not Ozzy, because he just, the way he stood, the way he played, everything was just wow. He pulled it off, and he's completely different than Randy Rhoads. So you don't have to replace someone. You don't want to find a clone.
Right.
You want to move on with someone new and brand new and give some new life to the band. And by the way, the reason why the band's here 31 years later is because it takes time to find the right person. It's not like once in a while you're lucky. You put out an ad and the next day somebody calls and they fit. And it's like, oh my God, that was just great.
Yeah,
But
stay over after church band.
right. Yeah, he plays in a church band, and that's great. I don't. So, but
Different.
sometimes it takes 6 months to find the right person,
Right.
and I understand that. So I'm not in any rush. I just think it's important to keep moving forward, stay creative, and stay busy.
Keep writing.
Do something that you like.
Yes.
Like if you write songs, that's me and Sid took care of the band for a while when Sid first joined, because we had to rebuild the band around Sid and me. So we started writing songs and stuff, and we stayed busy until the right people came in. And they always do. They always show up. But it's like, it's not, things aren't always easy. Sometimes to have something right, it has to hurt a little. And you have to work for it sometimes, But the end result is what counts.
I think the disappointing part was we were so close. You know what I mean?
I
We
know.
were so close, and like everything was just finally.
It was
stars
just
aligned.
ready to go.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we were excited. Was talking to him on the phone. He was sending me the new song that they'd written, and because I'm up north right now,
Right.
and started learning it. Started learning the new song, and
Yeah, and
we were excited. He was going to send me a better copy of it. Last thing he said was, "I'll get a better copy, and as we work on it, and send it to you, and that way you can hear what's going on." And that was the last thing that we talked about.
So
And I was so looking forward to coming down and rehearsing the new song and
yeah,
all that. And then
we had planned our
passed away.
first jam, all of us together.
Yeah,
And then he was gone.
Wow.
The last thing he sent us, because we have like a group chat email
Right.
or text, whatever you call it, and we used to send videos back and forth, and like he'd see a cool video. Like he's the one who told me about Tales of the Tour Bus. Look up Tales of the Tour Bus. It's amazing because it's about all these big stars, but it was done by Mike Judge, who does Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
So he turns them all animated, like George
wow.
Jones and Rick James and just Elvis, all these crazy stories, and Tim's the one who sent to me. The last thing that he sent to all of us was called Bum Cribs, like the show Cribs, Bum Cribs, and it's homeless people who show you, they do an interview and they show you their crib and they
under the bridge. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
that was the last thing he said. Yeah, that was the last. This one guy had a shopping cart and he painted the whole thing gold. He goes, "I got me a gold shopping cart." It was, that was his sense of humor, though.
Yeah, I remember opening it up. I'm like, what the
hell is
going
this?
on right here? God bless you, Tim.
So, he's got the band. You're a friend, and he says, "Come on, let's do this, and we're gonna build it around you." How's that feel? What's
He said to me, because he saw my post, I was ready to give up. I had just gone to Europe. I went to Holland for 10 days. Had a wonderful time. But
Right.
what happened is right before that, we released our album Canonizing Carnage on July 7th at the old 910 Live. We had a big show outside. It was great. The next day on my birthday, July 8th, my drummer and my guitar player quit. And I was like, holy fuck, now it's me and the bass player. Just like that, right?
wow?
And I won't get into why they left. They had their reasons. But, it's band stuff.
Right.
So right after that, I went to Europe. And I'm in Europe thinking, I guess it's over. And I accept that because even then, I had a long history with the band from 93 to 2012. I had no complaints, but I was depressed about it. So I came home and I put up a post on Facebook. I said, maybe it's time, because I was interviewing people, but I didn't like anything that I saw or heard, and I just thought, this isn't working. And out of the blue, he sends me a message, and him and I did a 3-song recording back in 1992, and he approached me. He said, I've got the music already done, studio's paid for. Would you just write some lyrics and come in and sing these 3 songs? And immediately when I heard his music, I knew exactly, each song I knew exactly what I was going to write about, because his songs bring that out in me, and probably would anybody. But so they came out great, all these years later. So when he sent me that message, I said, are you honest? Are you being true here? Because like I said, I knew he hadn't been in a band in a while. He said, no, I'm serious. And I said, well, come down and we'll see what we got, And from the first night, we jammed, and I told Marge before that, I said, listen, this guy is something special, and if he's still the same, we'll be able to build the band around him, And that's how it worked out. And 12 years later, we're still here, but it's because of him, because I was ready to throw the towel in.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good that we can work together. And we had that history, like what you said, and I knew we could make something happen. Now, to get to the level that St. Madness is at, there's been a lot of many years and different things. I knew that was going to be difficult because right after we first got down, it wasn't all like, all right, we're going to redo it. It's like, here's the freaking gauntlet. It's got to be better, and a CD.
I showed him the Canonizing Carnage album, and I said, look, if we're going to do an album, we got to do a better album than that.
Yeah.
And that's a great album.
I knew that the two of us could come up with the music. You don't worry about the rest. You just concentrated on that, because I knew the musicians would come. Yeah, and they did. And were they all like what you would have dreamed about, like saying this checks off every box? No. But by the time we get to this current lineup that we're at, many years have gone by, and it was perfect. Absolutely perfect in my mind. And everything was flowing. Couldn't ask for anything better.
No, and when we made the Blood Lescapades record, we had a female bass player. And Alexandra, and her stage, we all have stage names, so her stage name was Scarlet Rivers, which I thought was a great name. And Alex had input on every single song. She wrote little parts, because not every band member does that. Some people will just let you write it and then they'll add their part to it. So, but she took part in every song on the album. She was a hoot to be in a band with. She was really funny and always upbeat. And she's the only female that we'll ever have in the band, because I want to leave that time. She was in with us for 4 years. I want to leave that special for her, because she was special. And we made the Blood Lescapades album with her, and I'm really proud of that record. I think it's a great record.
Absolutely.
And that was with Sid and Duncan on drums, and and that album we recorded the songs in the order that they were written. So when you listen to Blood Lescapade's album, every song on there was written in that order, and that's how we recorded them, in the same order they were written. Because normally we'll have like a bunch of songs, and then I'll sit down with Larry Elia, who co-produces it, and we'll kind of try to find a flow between songs to keep a flow going. But with that one, every single song was recorded in the exact order that it was written, and it has a beautiful flow. I mean, it's like, I don't know how we did it, but anyway.
Shit happens.
Yeah, and Alex inspired the song Rigel, which is a instrumental on that album. And she told us, I didn't even know what Rigel was. So Orion, which is the Metallica Cliff Burton, Orion, right? You know Orion? Mm-hmm. So his piece of music was Orion. Well, Rigel is the left foot of Orion. It's either the left or the right foot of Orion in the constellation.
Okay.
And she's like, yeah, we should write a song called that. And so they wrote an instrumental called Rigel. And that was because of Alex. You know, she came in. I love that. I would never stifle my bandmates' creativities because I don't know everything. And I love it when people have ideas. Because then it gives me more ideas. You know what I mean? I don't become stagnant.
Feed off of each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what great bands do. You hit a stump, you chop the stump out of the way and keep it moving.
Right.
And then you hit the next tree and it just moves.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
He came up with a great idea for another album, which I don't even want to say here because I don't want anybody to steal it. But he just said it one day, and I was like, wow, that's a great fucking idea. We got to do that, you know. But that's how, if you hold people back, what good is that? You know, I want people to feel alive. I want them to feel alive creatively, you know. And if you hold people down or micromanage everything, they might stay with you because they got a good thing going, but inside it's like they're dying. They're this creative person and they can't express any of it because this other person's taking charge of every single thing.
I think we got a good lineup. I mean, everybody's excited to be here. Yeah. You know, we want to put out some good music, have some good shows, got some pretty good, crazy ideas for shows.
Absolutely.
And we just want to entertain people. I don't give a fuck about being a rock star. I don't give a fuck about being an influencer. I don't want any of that. And nowadays, everybody wants to be an influencer. And I'm like, for what? You know? For what? I want to make people happy. I don't want to be cool. I don't give a shit about being cool. I want to make people happy. Everybody has tough lives. When they come to our show, I want them to have fun. And I want, when they leave that show, I want them to feel like they got more than their money's worth. And then they'll tell their friends. That's what I want. And I would like the respect of my peers, my heroes, or my peers in music for being an artist and creating music. I care more about that respect than I do whether I'm cool or not. I don't care if I'm cool. You don't have to follow my words. You don't have to follow. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be none of those things. I see so many people trying to do that nowadays, and I'm like, what good is that? You know, it's like, let go of the narcissism, and if you want to find wisdom, you have to have humility. Humility leads you to wisdom.
And mosh pits.
You know, and mosh pit, yeah. Mosh pits lead you to wisdom.
And moth
Broken
pits.
legs.
Yeah. but if you're not humble, you're not teachable.
Right.
You know, if you're closed-minded. So the way to learn things is humility, you know, and even if you're a rock star, you can still have humility. You know? Look at these people killing each other to become a president or whatever, and for money, power, and fame, they'll do anything. And it's over that quick, and they don't realize that. They think, I'll get all this money and I got 30, 40 more years to enjoy that money. Well, that 30, 40 years is going to be gone before you know it. We're all dead already, we just don't know it. You know?
Can somebody make a song called that? I don't even
I don't know.
All right. Let's lighten it up. You're making
Well,
me sad.
I used to live in
I'm
Vegas.
sorry, I'm bumming you out.
I'm like, oh my god.
I used to live in Vegas. And how many times did somebody that won the Mega Millions or the Megabucks slot machine and never get to enjoy it. All of it, at least. You know? There's a lot of times they didn't make it 6 months.
Or they win all that money, and a few years later they're broke again. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's only money, man. You know? And I don't care if you're the biggest rock star. Elvis had his haters. Ozzy has his haters. Everybody has your haters.
Look at Nickelback. Everybody hates Nickelback. So bad that they had to make a documentary about it.
Yeah. And yet they're a platinum selling artist. You know? But what is all the fame and the money really worth anyway? I had to learn this, because if you go back in my photo album on Facebook and look to my early bands when I was in my 20s, you can see on my face that kid wanted to be a rock star more than anything in the world. But as I started growing older, I'm watching all my heroes die terrible deaths or overdose, or they have everything and yet they're miserable. And I'm like, man, maybe it's not what I thought it was, and it's not, you know. So I think you have to be okay with yourself on the inside, whether you're rich or poor, and then when you get money, you can enjoy it to an extent and do something good with it. But if you're an unhappy person, whether you're rich or poor, you're still miserable. So money isn't going to fix that.
No, but St. Madness music is.
Yeah.
That's going to
Absolutely.
That's the idea, is our music. I want people to have... I love it when people send me messages and they say things like, you know, I play guitar now because of your band.
That's awesome.
Or I was going through, I want to kill myself or whatever, and I was listening to your albums and it helped get me through. Stuff like that is what matters, man. You know,
Yep.
There was a video just recently posted from Disturbed that had a fan that had a sign, and they brought him up on stage, and that was.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, he a couple of years ago almost killed himself, and because of them, he didn't. So you know,
there you go. You know,
that's just the proof is in the pudding, because the music is the outlet for any and everybody. It doesn't matter. I've been able to sit down to some of the hardest metal on the planet and just sit back and feel the door open and it empty into the void, and just chill and relax. It's, you know, I'm not one that the music controls me and I go baha crazy. But I can. I just choose not to, because it's going to hurt the next day.
Many times.
to me, music is therapy, man.
Yes.
I have the hardest day, and I go to rehearsal, and I don't care. I don't care how bad the day was. When I leave rehearsal that night, it's like I'm at peace with the world. You know, I get it out at rehearsal. And sometimes I don't even want to go. I'm tired. I had a rough day, but I go. It's kind of like going to the gym. You don't want to go to the gym, but once you're in there pumping weight and stuff, you're glad you're there. And then when you go home, you're like, yeah, I did something good for myself. That's how I feel when I leave rehearsal. I know I did something good for myself, and it made my soul happy, and it made me happy. And you can't buy that. You know, there's no amount of money can give you that.
And like I said, I've had at least 3 bosses that have been spared the death penalty from me being in a metal band, because I go in and get all my aggressions out, and I forget about them. You know what I'm saying? The people you want to strangle, like in your everyday life, you go to rehearsal, you play for a few hours, you play metal,
Get that aggression
and all of a sudden, it's gone.
Write a song about them. I always tell people, don't piss me off, because I'll write a song about them.
Or do jujitsu. TNT, Scott Tannenbaum. Jujitsu's good too. 'Cause I don't get to beat on my bass. I mean, I get to slap on it, but you know, not too much. But
Yeah, he does jujitsu.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Shout out to Scott Tannenbaum.
How many people were in the running when you got selected?
Nobody.
Nobody.
We weren't looking.
You weren't looking.
He
He
just
just showed
moved-
up and said, "Hey,
Yeah. He came from
I want to be in your
Colorado.
band."
And he was in a band with Steve Van Pearsum, who we call Van Pearsum, who co-founded Crown of Thorns with me back in the day. He had moved to Colorado. They ended up in a band together. Then he transferred to here and ended up in Steve's band that he co-founded.
Colorado.
We weren't looking for anybody. He just showed up, and we're like, hey, well, he was looking for a band, and we're like, hey, you want to come, check us out, jam with us, whatever. Because he came to a show and he liked what he heard.
Yeah. Came to a show, told Pat, looking for a band. He says, well, I know plenty of people. And I said, okay. About 2 weeks later, he says, are we not heavy enough for you? And I said, well, yeah, you're right up my alley. You're exactly what I'm looking for. And he says, well, why don't you come down and get a CD and learn a couple of songs, if you want to audition. I said, okay, cool. So I went down and learned 5 songs off Blood Lescapades. And I went down and auditioned, and I got it. So Steve Van Pearson was the first, and I'm going to be the last.
There you go. You got like fried chicken to be in this band too.
Yeah.
Yes.
KFC.
We talked about that the first interview.
But now KFC is so fucking expensive. How can you ask someone, hey, you got to buy us chicken? It's like $200 worth of chicken now.
Right. Well,
But that's our. It's kind of like a policy that we have. You're not a full member of the band until you buy the band KFC with
right.
side dishes.
Right.
you weren't there. That was my
With
fault.
side dishes,
I'll get you.
That was started by Van Pearson back in 2004, and we've done it ever since. And it's just it's a little. Right away, it tells me whether they really want to be in the band or not. Because it is a sacrifice for anybody. Even when the chicken's cheap, it's still a sacrifice to have to go buy chicken for your band.
Well, yeah.
But
Breaking bread.
it's breaking bread. And it's that first time we all sit down together as a family, a musical family, and it's a sacrifice for them, and it lets me know if they really want it or not, And it served us well because, sometimes I didn't have much food at home, so it's like, we got to get a new member. Maybe we'll get a keyboard player soon or something.
Need a tambourine
Let's
player
fire Ted,
next week.
rehire him.
But anyway, it's been very funny, and I never. Van Pearson's the one who came up with that because Mad Marvin was joining the band, and Steve Van Pearson really liked him. And I said, so what do you think? He goes, well, tell him if he buys us a bucket of chicken, he's in. So I said, Marvin, if you buy us a bucket of chicken, you're in. And so every band member since then, we've done that.
You got to have what's special to you. That's it's a signature.
Yeah, I would have never
chicken.
thought of that,
Fried chicken.
He came up with that.
It's a family thing.
It's finger looking good.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Never mind.
So there you have it. That's our story.
How many bass players were in the running?
I don't even know. What's funny is I met Ted about 5 years ago.
Right after I moved here, yeah.
Right after he moved here, I played poker. Used to go to the bars a lot, and so I met him, and he was rocking. I'm like, all right, what's up, dude? And we talked, and I told him I played bass, and I had a band back in the day, but my dad was a bass player. We got him right there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so I've always played. My best friend was a bass player, and I played more like funk, stuff like that, just Chili Peppers and stuff like that. But Kiss was the very first band I ever saw. So, that when he told me he was in this band and they were wearing makeup, and I was like, what? I'm like, let me see it. He goes, shows me the videos. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that's awesome, man. Let me know if you ever need a bass player. And I was doing my own thing. I'd run into him every once in a while. And then, life happens. And about 2 years ago, after my dad had passed, I kind of sobered up and kind of got my stuff together. It just recently hit 2 years. And
Congratulations.
thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. I saw Ted tells this story a little bit better than I do. Why don't you tell his story? Because I like the way you tell it. Grab the microphone, shy guy.
Yeah, so
Come on, teddy bear.
So yeah, we put a post out. Pat had put a post out on Facebook saying that we were looking for a bass player, and I get a phone call. I'm at work one day, and I get a phone call from Jason. He says, "Here, you're looking for a bass player." I said, "Yeah, you want to audition?" He says, "Fuck yeah, I want to audition." I said, "Okay." He says, "I play in my church band," and I went, "Oh fuck, here we go." Oh no. Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I was thinking about our style of music and everything that we do. And so then,
Go ahead. Sorry.
So then, I said, okay, well, here, I'll send you some of the songs that we're doing, some more recent stuff that we've been playing, and you can learn it, and then you can come over to my house. We'll go through it, and then you can come down to audition, and we'll see what happens." He said, "Okay." So I sent him 5 songs.
So it was on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it was on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I sent him 5 songs, and then Wednesday night, I'm getting ready to go to rehearsal, and my phone rings, and it's Jason, and he says, "Hey, you mind if I come down to just hang out with you guys after my band rehearsal or my church band rehearsal?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." He says, "Not to play, just to hang out." And I said, "Yeah, that should be fine." And then I thought, "Oh shit, I should have probably talked to the rest of the band about that first." But so I called Pat and I said, "Hey, I got a buddy that wants to come down and just check us out." He says, "Well, it's a friend of yours, that's fine." So we get to rehearsal, we're playing. Jason shows up, runs over, gives me a hug and everything. He says, "You want me to grab my bass?" And I said, "Well, why don't we hold off? I just sent him the songs the day before, right?" I'm like, "Why don't we hold off for a little bit?" And Pat says, "Oh no, let us finish this song and then you can go ahead and go grab it." And I went, "Oh fuck, here we go." I'm like, "This is gonna be a shit." He doesn't know the songs yet. There's no way. He went and got his bass, came in and just fucking crushed it. I mean, he just nailed every one of the fucking songs. I mean, I was proud of him. He's an amazing bass player.
Oh, thank you.
So
Awesome.
Pat asked him, "When do you want to come back?" He says, "Tomorrow." So
Okay.
Okay.
When do you guys play again?
I want to fill that spot you've got.
Yeah, and that
But
was
definitely talking about opposite ends of the spectrum.
But
You got
again, when he walked in, and his stage name is Jayhawk, he's Masorum, Prophet, Sid Ripster. When he walked in the room, I am a real vibe person with other people. I feel their vibe, kind of. And he had such a great vibe when he just walked in. I liked him right off the bat, before we even really talked. I could feel it coming up, from him. And then when he started playing bass, and he kind of not runs around the room, but he's very active when he rehearses, and I love that. I love that because it makes other people want to get up and do something, The thing about Evil T's drumming was the guy hit so hard, and he was such a strong drummer that it made everybody up their game just to play with him. Mm-hmm. That's what you want. Right. You want somebody like that. That's the kind of bass player he is. So he automatically makes you want to be active and makes you want to pay attention. But he walked in the room and I could feel it off him. This is a good guy, good person.
Well, and that's what I see a lot with some of the shows that I go to, where the headlining band is a headlining band, and everybody before them, step your game up. And one band in particular I knew would step up, and I'm thinking to myself, now you're gonna make the headliner have to step up.
That's the goal.
And again,
that's the goal.
That's the competition aspect.
Sure.
On a stage is,
And competition is healthy. It's good. Look, you're all competing. We can all be a heavy metal family in the scene. No problem there. But you want to be competitive. Competition makes you get better,
No,
and I love doing shows with bands that are so good they're scary, because that makes us try that much more, Back in the day, we used to do a lot of shows with Sacred Reich, and Sacred Reich is Sacred Reich.
Yes, absolutely.
But I tell you what, when we rehearsed for those shows, we threw down, and we made sure that when we played shows with them, that they knew that they weren't playing with just any old band, that they had to be on top of their game that night. And that's the idea. Because when you do that, you give the audience a much better show.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal.
It's, again, the studio, and I've said it on plenty of interviews, but the studio is as close to perfection as you get playing your songs.
Right.
And it's supposed to be.
Right.
Because that's what's going to go out and sell and bring people to the show.
And that's what outlives you.
Yes.
That music's still here after you're dead.
But the show will too, because it's a show.
Right.
It's not your CD.
Right.
And it's that energy on stage. It's the costumes. It's the makeup. It's running around like a chicken with your head cut off and not missing a beat. And
I took my youngest daughter to go see Taylor Swift. Not a Swiftie, but holy shit, that show. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
not that it's heavy metal, but you know what I'm saying? I mean,
It's a
that
show.
stage presence. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. He asked me, he straight up asked me, I said, he goes, you want to join the band? I go, do you guys want to talk about it? He's like, no. I'm like, you mean to wear makeup like Kiss and run around and make noise and entertain? I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, what?
And
Yes.
it takes
I'm like,
a
you don't
certain
even
person
have
to
to
do that. Because you got a lot of musicians who love the music, but they're afraid of the face paint. Like, dude, I can't put that on, you know.
Almost despise it. Yeah.
But see, a guy like Evil T and Jayhawk and Sid, all of us, right away, we just embraced it. You know what I mean? So you have the people that embrace it, and you have the other people that love the music, but they don't want to do that part of it. And that's non-negotiable. We're not taking it off. So you have to...
I'm good with that.
I've been wearing it since '95, and I still absolutely love it. And there's a whole ritual to getting ready for shows that I love. That I've been in bands where I throw on jeans and a t-shirt, and you go play, and that's
Cardinal
great.
games.
But I would rather do what St. Mattis does.
Absolutely. I wouldn't
where I
have it
belong.
any other way as a fan.
That's where I belong.
And I'm probably one of the newer fans.
But it's, yeah, you know, I don't know what makes a person want to do that, because I can't answer why I want to do it. I just know
The
that
face paint?
from day one I enjoyed it.
The
Yeah.
face paint? Oh, Kiss.
Yeah, but
That's
I
the first
never,
band I ever
as
saw.
much as I like Kiss as a teenager, I never envisioned myself
There's
doing
a
that.
picture of me and my oldest son at a Cardinals game. I mean, I've been wearing makeup like just shenanigans. I mean, I just can't.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
1979.
you
I
got
saw
that picture
Kiss.
of you and Ted?
Oh,
That's a great
I'll have
picture.
to show him, the rough draft. Yeah.
That's a great
Good one.
picture, though. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, that's like being the live props for Show Me God,
Mhm.
and I have the piggyback rider and put my daughter on in her warrior princess outfit and do the Viking face paint
Yeah,
on her,
like a
And-
Valkyrie or something
yeah.
like that.
and nobody cares about me anymore. They love her, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's because I get to do this with my 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's standing on my back. Now, the piggyback rider, props to the guy that invented it, because it's amazing. She's 55 pounds, and it's like she's not even there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when we opened for Green Jello, Bill lost his mind. He was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He goes, you came up with that? And I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Davey had her sitting on his shoulders and went in to see some of the show, and he called her right up to the stage, shook her hand, and had the whole bar chanting her name.
Yeah.
For a 7-year-old, that's mesmerizing and
Yeah,
crazy.
we played with Green Jello in 2015 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but it was a great show at Joe's Grotto.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
lots of people.
Yeah.
I was in a bar called My Place in Panama, Central America, when that video came out. And I was like, this bar played videos for their music in the bar, just to add to their entertainment aspect, because there wasn't anything else. But it was a great place to go hang out and shoot the shit with everybody, and they're playing music videos, and that popped up, and I was like, what in God's name is this? And we absolutely loved it, and I was just like blown away by it, and here it is, 30-something years later.
See how fast that time went by? See how fast that 30 years went
Yeah,
by?
right?
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
nuts.
You know?
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Before you know it, it's all over. So
I'm not down.
be good to people,
Profit.
man. Be good to people.
Making me
You
freak
know?
out over here.
Leave something good behind.
So he didn't
Yeah.
get selected. He put himself in the band.
Basically true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
He walked in.
I get
By myself.
He walked in
That's
and played
mine.
with us, and that was it.
Yeah, I was shocked. I didn't know, but I'm just glad it worked out. I enjoy it. I mean, it's therapeutic to a certain extent too.
Very much.
I think we all have a good gelling. Sid, I'd love to gel with you.
As long as it's not Astro Gel.
As long as it's not KY gel.
Right.
Don't get
There used to be absolutely no rules in the Backstage Lounge. No, there's now one rule.
Yeah.
No spooning.
Yeah. But I'm sure bands like Show Me God understand because they're very similar to what we do.
Yeah.
And
It's like
Mike's a great guy. And
Amazing.
yeah.
Being able to hang out with him and help the way we do. My daughter absolutely loves it. And
Yeah.
everybody loves how into it she is
Yeah.
at her age. And in fact, I've got some stuff over in the corner that's some pom-poms and some foam light sticks for her to do whatever with while she's I don't see what she does.
Yeah, she might end up getting in music one day or a performance.
And one of the things that's cool about that is because obviously she's got a cool dad that lets her listen to all kinds of cool different music and
She
stuff
listens
like
to
that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How like when your parents do it, it's like, okay, all right, yeah, I can explore that area. And if your parents aren't into that, you might not get into it. You might get into it. You might not. But when they have music around the house and you're hearing it, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Absolutely beautiful.
There was a band that was down here in around Havasu for a while. It was a reggae band, and they're I guess originally from Oregon. They went back, but I was playing their music in some of my shows, and I was just in here listening to it one day, and she came in. She was probably 3 or 4, and she was just in here dancing. And I shot a video of it playing their song and posted it, and they lost their minds. She's just adorable.
It's so sweet. Yeah.
And it's just the when you see music take effect on somebody,
Right.
that's it's almost equal to when the crowd takes over your song.
Right.
Right.
It's almost that level.
Yeah.
Somebody sent us a video. They were driving, and they had their son in the car with them, and they were playing like Vampires in the Church or something like that, and the kid was singing all the lyrics, and he was probably 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's an awesome feeling when you see that, And of course, with our music, you want to be careful because on the first album, the very last song in there is called The Uncommitted Lover. And I'll just be honest with you, it was a sound check that we basically were just checking the instruments in the studio before we recorded. But Christian, the co-producer, recorded it. So I just made up lyrics on the spot, right? And I'm singing about this chick paying me $50 to suck my dick, basically, right? The uncommitted lover. So that's fine. So years later, Marge says to me, listen, next time we take a drive when we have Joshua in the car, I want you to put on Loneliness is Black. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then we're in the car and she goes, put on The Uncommitted Lover. I said, okay. And he knew every word. And he was probably 6 or 7. And he's back there singing, I don't want to choke you, babe. I'm only doing this because I love you. You got a little on your face. And anyway, I'm like, oh, well, we got to be careful what we're letting him listen to because he's learning it.
Yeah.
I have an argument to that. and I'm raising children myself. I'm on my second set. I have a 30 and a 28 who both have careers, families, marriages, homes. They're successful. They're maybe not top tier successful, but they're successable.
Yeah.
They're not living in a cardboard box. Not in prison. Not
very blessed.
Yes, I'm extremely blessed. Yeah. I'm so blessed that I don't know that. I that's why I haven't ever won the lottery. My family was my lottery ticket when I won.
There you go.
But we do our best to raise them, to prepare them for adulthood. And no matter what we teach them, how we teach them, how we raise them, where we raise them. When they turn 18 and they leave, they're going to go live their life. And it doesn't matter. Now they can go say, fuck.
Yeah, but you give them a foundation.
You give them a foundation to go and try and teach them appropriateness.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's a time to flip somebody off. There's a time not to.
Right.
You know, and especially when they're little, because that's where you set that foundation. But when they start getting into teenagers, my old man hated coming to my basketball games because I had his and my mother's temper. But he was still there.
Right.
So
Well, that's kind of a look in the mirror, though, right? If you're getting upset during the game, it's making them not feel good about themselves because of that temper.
Well,
does that make sense? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Is that why he didn't like going? Because
no, because I was a little. I know how to get out of technicals.
Oh. Right.
I slammed the ball down on the
To
the
check
court,
the air pressure, right?
and it bounced damn near to the ceiling. And the referee was standing right in front of me. He turned and he looked at me, and I looked at him. I looked up, I caught the ball, and I handed it to him. And he didn't call it. So it's just, everybody wants to be hard on them. All I want them to do is what I tell you to do now. Learn the small things.
Yeah.
Because that'll fix all the big stuff in the future. But it starts now, and it's so hard.
Well, just so you know, now that we're staying on this conversation, my little son, who was singing The Uncommitted Lover, when he got old enough, he was a man whore. I mean, he really went crazy with the chicks, which good for him, I guess. But yeah, he did. He had a lot of girlfriends, a lot of girls, and I don't know if that song influenced him or not, but maybe he got $50. Hey, there you go, son. I taught you how to make money.
Are we still recording?
Recording, we're live.
We're live, buddy.
Are we still right? Are
Yeah.
Mike's still live? All
Yeah,
right,
we
I gotta
are.
tell you, I feel fucking old. Okay,
Aww.
talking to my grandson.
Oh.
I think he's 8. 8, just had a birthday, and I was listening to a song that was like from the '60s. I forget what it was, but I asked him. I said, "You ever heard this song before?" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "I think." So I played him the song. He's like, "I know that song." He starts singing along with it. I'm like, how the hell does my little grandkid know this song from the 50s? It was like, and it's not even, it was a popular song, but. And I look at him and I go, "You know that song?" He goes, "Yeah. It's on the Minions."
Oh, no.
There you
They
go.
take these songs and they recycle
The old
them,
stuff.
right,
Yeah.
through the cartoons, and so now he's getting a taste of
That's
music.
cool.
Yeah, and so that just hit me. It was like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool that he knew that.
Right?
Super cool.
Music's all cyclical. The 70s come back, the 80s come back. They all come through the
And it's kind of
genres.
timeless,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing, and tell me what you all think, I think the best music tester, I can't say for lyrics because you're the lyricist, but music-wise, I'll tell you, little 3-year-olds, you play your music. If you got 3-year-olds bouncing off the walls to your music, that's a win
Right.
every single time. Because we're all little kids inside, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ones that when they're in their 20s.
It's just
but-
the kids can't control themselves, so
No.
you see exactly
You know
what it is.
exactly.
Yeah.
I only adult when I have to.
Right.
Sorry.
No.
But no. What's been some of your highlights in the last 5 years? Because this has got to be.
Some of the bigger shows that we played, the Joe's Grotto shows were always amazing. Everyone, some of the 44s. I think the biggest highlight was probably the 30-year anniversary show. That
Yes, that was
show
amazing.
was off the hook. It was so much fun to play. And just the fans, I love engaging with the fans. Even like you go to the smaller clubs, to where you can actually get up and close personal with them. I'll go out and I'll actually play to people and make them feel like part of the show, or try to get them to be part of the show. And I've met a lot of great people because of that. I actually gave my headband to she was 9 at the time.
Who'd you give that to?
That was your friend.
Remember. I can't remember now. But I remember you doing it.
Yeah, I gave my headband at a show at the 44 to this little girl, just because she was there. She had an AC/DC shirt on, and I was like, well, it's coming off anyway because I'm headbanging, and it always falls down over my eyes or whatever, so I always take it off. I just walked over and handed it to her. She wore it to school.
I'm sure.
She kept. She still has it. I still hear from her mom every so often. She still has it.
That's the kind of stuff that matters. It really matters, So.
Well, earlier George Harlan said the madness is live, and then we have Brandon and Rachel. They say it's called "We're All Already Dead." Yay!
It's true.
And they want to know when the next live show's going to be and where.
Well, we don't know because we're looking for a drummer. Have to get a drummer first.
Yep.
I mean, we could do an acoustic thing because we actually play some acoustic music as well, but nothing like that's planned. But I want a drummer.
Yeah.
No.
We want a drummer, man.
That's where the focus is right now.
Bring us drummers.
Yeah. Because we want to get out there and play loud again.
Absolutely.
And, you got to have the right person. And like I said, we're not looking for Evil T Part 2, but I want the right person. Like when Jason walked in the room, he had a vibe about him right away. I knew, like, hey, I like this person, And then when he started playing, it's like, I want to work with this person. I don't want to take just anybody. And that's why I don't want to be over anxious. Because like I said, if you're looking to meet a girl and you have a little bit of that I'm over anxious or I'm desperate on you, they smell it on you and they run the opposite way. I don't want that. I want the right person at the right time to join the band so that we can all be elevated by it and not just, well, we took this person because, we really want to play out, so yeah, he's not the greatest, but I don't want to do that. I want the right person. I want someone who fits.
Well, I have a challenge because I know a band or a guy that put a band together. He was looking for a drummer, and they were having auditions. And guy came in to audition for drums, and they asked him what he did to prepare, and he said, "Sat on the edge of my bed and air drum." They're like, "You don't have a drum kit?" And he's like, "Nope." And they had one there, so just sit down and audition. And he nailed it and got the job. So I would like to put the challenge out there to anybody that wants to drum for St. Madness. Figure out how to get into the complex where the studio is first. Right. Set up outside and be playing when they show up.
I like that.
But the other thing that's kind of important, I want them to have a good drum kit. I don't look. You got to be able to afford to be in the band to be in the band. You gotta have a job. You gotta have some responsibilities, or you gotta have some money. We all pitch in every month on band rent for our studio.
Right.
It's much more than just getting in a band and playing music, and that's why we're looking for someone like us that we take it serious. We have serious fun. We have a lot of fun, but we take what we do serious. It's a job, and it's still the music business. It's not a joke, and we don't treat it like a joke. So they have to have good gear, good attitude, be a team player, be serious about what you're doing, and take it serious, so that we can all elevate each other. And nobody's the star of the show. Well,
he's got his kit now, and he kills it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's amazing. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
And I can do a whole other interview just on people that we've auditioned over the years. One of the funniest ones is a guy came to audition for guitar on a moped with a little practice amp, and that was his real amp. And he came to audition on his moped because he didn't have any other transportation. And, well, he didn't make it.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if he played it on the moped while he was, would he have had a better chance?
We had another guy show up in a white pickup,
around.
and he was outside the gate of the complex, and his pickup was facing the wrong direction. He had his back end of the truck next to the gate. I said, okay, I'll open the gate, go up there and flip a bitch and come back through. He goes, no, I got this. I said, I know, but you got to go down there and make a left and go over 2 and then make a left. And he's going, I got it. He backed in the whole way. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why? Why was he backed up to the gate to begin with? It's a gate where you go straight through it. I mean, it made no sense to me whatsoever. So he gets out of his truck and he comes in and he goes, okay, guys, if you don't mind, I need to shoot up before we start playing. And he goes, no, I'm just kidding. And he pulls out like a 12-pack of beer and all that. And we have a policy, we don't have drinking at rehearsal. You know, it's like, if you can drink, that's fine. Just go home and drink, you know. After shows, if we're playing a show and after the show you want to get bombed, great. I'm all for it. Have fun. But before that show, I wouldn't have more than a couple beers because we're not getting paid to be drunk up there. The audience is supposed to be the one partying and having fun. We're the paid entertainment usually. Yeah. And so if you don't get drunk when you go to your job, why are you doing it here, you know? And you might think it's cool, but, you know, if you ever stop doing that, you look back at your videos, you're going to be embarrassed because what you think is really cool while you're bombed on stage is very seldom really cool, you know? Yep. So again, we just take it serious. It's like, why bother to go down there all the time and rehearse if you have to deal with all that kind of crap? It's not worth it anymore.
Sometimes it sounds like we're kind of strict, but I mean...
We're really not, though.
No, I mean, we have a great time, but, I mean, you know, like
just don't waste our time.
No, yeah, my influence was Kiss. You know, I want to entertain. I mean, we want to be the best, and I think that's the one beautiful thing that I really like and take from this. Nobody thinks that being in this band is going to make more people love them, or they're going to be this... We feel pretty balanced, I would say, as individuals, but we all have the same goal. We want to play the best, sound the best, not in an arrogant way, but to provide it to the audiences out there.
That's exactly right.
You know, because if you just do the right things, it's going to be great.
The worst thing would be to have anybody leave our show and go, I paid $10, $15 for that and it's fucking wasted.
Yeah.
I never want them to feel that way.
Absolutely.
So, that's that.
What else do you want to know about us? Let's see that.
So what are some attributes that a band, or what attributes should a band have to gain identity and be more unique?
At least one bald guy in the band.
Yeah.
Jason Newsted did it.
One young bald guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not that young. What do you think?
I think you got to believe in yourself. Above all, be your own best friend. Because you're always going to have haters and people that tell you, you know, don't get into music, it's a waste of time, or what. You'll always have people that are going to try to shoot it down. You got to believe in yourself and do it from the heart, and, you know, be your own friend in the sense that when I first started making records, I was the guy that I'd play you a song and then I'd point out every mistake in it or everything that should have been there but wasn't because I was insecure. What I've learned since then is when you make an album, Pat, give it the best you have and then live with it and enjoy it. Don't listen to it 20 years later and go, oh, I still didn't do that note right and I didn't. Just enjoy it for what it is. You gave it your best. Be happy, you know?
Well, it's live.
Yeah. So, but
you know how much shit happens live?
Well, live is
My
different.
God.
Live is totally different.
Yeah.
The beauty of live shows is there's mistakes. That's what live concerts are. That's why when so many of these bands now are throwing too many back samples and backing vocals and backing tracks. Thank you. There's too much almost now to where it's not a total live show anymore. And it's like, for me, only because I'm old, look, they're going to come up with all kinds of new stuff real quickly, and I'm already past that. I'll be retired and done, and music will be whatever it becomes. But in my day, a live concert was about getting out there like a trapeze without a net and throwing down and giving it what you got and accepting the results. That's a live show to me. So it still is. Like, a lot of guys wear in-ear monitors. I never did, and I'm amazed I'm not deaf after 43 years of loud music or whatever. And we still use full stacks on stage. A lot of bands they'll have a half stack, or they'll have a practice amp, because, we might get through the PA, which is true, right? But you don't get the same sound that you get with a full stack. I'll debate anybody over that, number one. Number two, when I'm on stage, I like having that cabinet that's as tall as I am, and the sound is hitting me right up my ears, coming at me, that you don't have when you mic a little tiny amp on stage. That's just me. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Every band has the right to do it however the hell they want. But for me, I think the concert is almost as much visual as it is musical. And visual, when you're playing this big, heavy music, and then you got this little tiny amp up there, it doesn't make sense to me. And lots of people do it, which is great, No, but I'm old. I'm only, don't anybody get mad at me. Just understand that I'm old, and when I grew up, nobody did that.
Right.
And that's what I'm used to. Metallica, watch old Metallica videos. Watch the Decline of Western Civilization movie from the 80s. Nobody did that. Now everybody does that with the little amps. But when I grew up, nobody did that. So I have trouble because
Judas Priest,
right,
Marshall stacks,
right.
Across, yeah.
But that's because when you walked in that venue, even before the band was playing, and you saw that, it had an effect on you,
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about, is you knew you were going to get a concert. You saw those stacks and the drum riser and everything, and you knew, like, wow, something's going to happen here.
You knew you better have not forgotten your earplugs.
Everything, as time goes on, everything is being dummied down. And that's fine, but I'm glad I lived in the era that I did, and I'm glad I got to do it that way. Because it was a hell of a lot of fun.
It's not over, Pat.
It's not over.
Nope. Somebody wants to know when you're going to come to Denver.
Whoa.
I can't say the name, but I can't.
You can't say the name?
I'm ready for Denver, especially this summer. Holy
Stasser Bright?
Tell him to help us get a booking agent out of Denver, and then we can work the deal out.
Okay.
We don't know who to talk to there. He knows some people.
I'd love to come out and play Denver. I mean, I know a lot of people. I was born and raised there.
Right.
I just want to get out of the heat, for sure.
I mean, I'd love to be able to go out and play the Gothic or the Bluebird or
right.
Any of those, Ogden, the Orient, any of those theaters would be so much fun.
Go to Red Rock while we're at it.
Red Rock.
That's where I want to play.
That's my ultimate dream.
Red Rock is the shit.
I used to play frisbees down in Red Rock and drink beers every Sunday morning.
I saw Metallica front row center at Red Rocks 2 nights back to back in the same seat, front row center.
That's one venue I dream about playing.
Who did you know?
Huh? It used to be up there. That it was select a seat, so first come first serve.
Okay.
And a buddy of mine, Scott Major, had figured out that there was a staircase around the back side of it, and if you got there at like 6 in the morning or something like that, the day of the show, as long as you were in the first 2 or 3 people that were there, and you can run faster than the other 2, you can get any seat you want. And it was that staircase came up right next to the stage, and then it was just shooting straight over, and you're there.
Wow.
So I saw Ozzy and White Lion and Vixen from third row there. I mean, it was awesome back then. Now it's all you buy a ticket and you got a seat.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, you got it. The Karens and the Carls. I can't. I don't get to sit up front because they beat me here.
yeah.
That's because you're lazy. Early bird gets the worm. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
When I went
the
to
early
the
bird
S-
gets the worm.
I went to the S Festival in 1983 on Heavy Metal Day, and that was over 300,000 people, and there was no assigned seats. You just
No admission.
pushed your way in and found a place,
Right.
and it was incredible.
Well, it's funny because if you go to big shows like that and you get there late and you're in the back, being in a costume helps.
Sure it does.
My
Right.
buddy came from Vegas and we did Decadence 2 years ago for New Year's, and we're at the back. DJ's going. I'm in costume. New Year's Eve, and I'm like, "Let's do this." And he's like, "Okay." And I walked all the way to the rail, and everybody got out of the way.
Yeah.
One group of people were like, they saw me and this dude's girlfriend. Everybody grabbed her and ducked her because apparently seeing me would have, she'd have lost her shit. Apparently, I don't know what she was tripping on, but made it all the way to the rail. My buddy's like, I have never ever fucking seen anybody do that before. And I was like, I don't know. Everybody got all the way, huh?
That's true. It does work.
Yeah.
We played the Milwaukee Metal Fest in 1999, and we had Howard Presley with us. And he was in his Elvis jumpsuit and everything with the glasses. And then we had Andrew, who was playing Bill Clinton, so he was wearing a suit and tie, and he had a Bill Clinton mask on, and he had a huge joint. And the Milwaukee Metal Fest back then, there was 4 different stages. And so this was like the day before we were playing, so we were just walking around watching bands. But what happened was when Howard Presley and Bill Clinton would walk in a room, a whole bunch of people would stop looking at the stage and start looking at them. And finally, we kind of had to tell them, look, I don't think this is a good idea because you're walking in there and you're taking a lot of attention away from the band that's on stage. But it was a natural thing. People saw these crazy characters and they naturally paid attention to them. Mm-hmm. So I get exactly what you're saying. And I'll tell you what, the Bill Clinton guy, so I'm sure it's still the same because the Milwaukee Metal Fest went away for years. And then, oh my God, singer of Hatebreed, Jamie Jasta, he bought Milwaukee Metal Fest and brought it back because the Milwaukee Metal Fest, you have 100 bands from all over the world that come there to play the thing. So it used to be in the old Eagles Auditorium. Now I don't know where it is, but so you had to pay $1,000 to play it. Okay, and that's everybody, then except for like the top 4 headline acts, I think.
So we're paying them.
So we bought $1,000 worth of tickets, right? So we go, and it's 1999, and our Bill Clinton guy goes, you know, I'm just going to walk around outside and see if I can get rid of some of these tickets, right? Because we fronted the money, the $1,000. And he was gone about 30 minutes, and we were sitting on the bus, and the door opens, and he comes walking in. I'm thinking, dude, 30 minutes, that's not trying too hard, right? So Marge goes, well, how'd you do? He reached in his pocket, goes, sold out, and he threw all this money in the air. Because he was Bill Clinton with the giant joint, and everybody ran up to him to buy tickets.
But shouldn't it have been a cigar?
He always, the Lewinsky cigar. Lewinsky,
With the snail
they
juice on the
dropped the
outside.
ball. They should have made Lewinsky cigars, and they would have sold a shitload of
They'd
them.
have made a ton of money.
But anyway, no, he had this giant joint, and people saw him and ran up to him to buy tickets, and he sold every single one of them.
Wow. That's awesome. Sorry, I just keep checking to see if there's any comments.
Nobody cares.
Well, I know now one that I've seen, and now that I'm not in West Virginia, it irritates me. But there's Metal in the Mountains, and I might get it wrong. I think it's Pipeline, West Virginia, and it's a pretty big show, and it's pretty insane. And we've had, who was it? Co-op went two, maybe 3 years ago, and was there. And somebody else was supposed to go, I think, the next year, and something happened with transportation, and they didn't get to go. But even though it's over on the East Coast, it's it's a big one here anyway. As far as
there's a metal fest now in Tennessee too, put on by Metal Devastation, and they're a radio station, and they put together a festival, and this is like the third one or something like that. So it's taken off. That's good. We need more of them.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us a little bit about the changes on the Arizona underground metal scene over the last 30 years.
Well, we were talking about that on the way here. It goes through peaks and valleys like anything. The key is don't give up too quick. Like if you start a band and you have members that you enjoy, don't give up a year or two when you're not big rock stars. So, well, I guess we tried. I guess I give up. I mean, if you're giving up, then you're just showing that you were never really dedicated to music to begin with, But the music scene is like that. It has some years where there's tons of fans going to the shows all the time, lots of great bands playing, every weekend's exciting and all that. Then there's some years where it really tapers off and venues close and you have new ones open up and you have less people going to the shows, and just don't give up because it'll come back around. It has I've been playing this scene since 1986, so that's a long time.
Damn.
I was playing 17? The Mason Jar in 1986 already, So I've seen it all come and go, and I've seen the people that come in the scene, whether they're a new promoter or a new band, we're taking over, and I get it, but look, quit thinking like that and just think, what can I do to make this better? Not I'm taking over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Figure out how to make things better for everybody, but because I've seen them all die by the wayside, because very few of them are really dedicated where they'll put a 10-year stint in doing what they're doing, They have some good ideas. They start and they're like, okay, this is going to be my scene and I'm going to take it over. But it ain't like that. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay?
Right. My favorite.
You have to look at the long game. The long
Extremely
game.
long game. Because you're not going to do it fast.
And that's why we have 12 albums. Okay? Because before I die, I get to at least know that we have all those albums out there, and anytime I want to listen to them, I can. And every time I listen to a song, I have all these memories that come back of when we wrote it, when we recorded it, who I was working with, who I was with at the time, how old my kids were at the time. All these beautiful memories come back, and I have that, and nobody can take that away. So maybe I didn't get the millions and millions of dollars, but I got that. And I got to play with a lot of my heroes, and play a lot of incredible shows. And so I say, if you're truly dedicated to your music and everything, just give it all you got and be your own best friend, believe in yourself, keep moving forward, and accept whatever reality comes, because you can't change that. I've seen total shit bands all of a sudden get hooked up and they blow up big, like really big. And I've seen incredible artists never get very far. That's just the way it is. But if you're playing for yourself and you're making yourself happy, it kind of doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
you're doing what you love.
The other old saying is always play for that one person in the room.
Well, treat the whole room like one person. I agree with that. Yeah.
For yourself, yeah.
But that one person that might be that one, play that hard. You're trying to impress.
So
you're trying to impress that guy. So
in January of 1998, I don't know the exact date, but Franco, who owned the Mason Jar, had called us and said, my Monday night band canceled on me. Now, back in 1998, we only played weekends, right? And he said, would you, as a favor to me, just bring St. Madness down, play on Monday? You'd really do me a favor, you know. And Franco he's a little Italian man, so you do him a favor, he does you a favor. He gives you a great show later. You know, he's family. So we decided we'll do it, and we made a joke about it. We said, okay, we're going to wear the least amount of face paint that we can do for that, because it's a Monday night. There probably won't be many people there. Let's just go do the show. We do the show, and this is going to go with what you just said. 30 people in the whole place. Fine. We do our show. Afterwards, and back then I used to drink blood out of a chalice, and I'm covered in blood, and you could smoke in the club back then, so I'm smoking a cigar, sitting on the bench, watching the band after us. And I'm sweaty, and Marge comes running up to me. She says, Pat, you got to come with me right now. There's a man at the bar, and he wants to talk to you. I'm like, and I look around, you know, maybe 30 people, right? Okay. I get up, I start walking towards the bar. Franco comes up to me. He says, dude, you listen to me. This man is real. He's a friend of mine, and he wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So I go and I shake his hand. He says, hi, I'm John Baxter, and I manage Rob Halford, singer of Judas Priest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that got my attention. I love Judas Priest, right?
Absolutely.
He says, you got a hell of a band there. And I said, thanks a lot. And he goes, the problem is, I'm not looking for a band. And I said, well, what are you looking for? He said, a singer for Black Sabbath. And instantly I felt the blood rush out of my legs. Mm-hmm. And I said, could you repeat that? And he goes, I'm looking for a vocalist for Black Sabbath. He said, few people know this, but Rob actually joined Black Sabbath briefly. They were going to make an album and do a world tour. And Rob and Tony had a falling out. And Tony's been auditioning singers for like 6 months, and he hates them all, and he's unhappy. And I was here for your whole show, and I watched how you move and your vocal range, and you're right in that Ozzy range. And he said, you even kind of look like him a little bit. He said, would you be interested in auditioning for Black Sabbath? I said, well, yeah, they're one of my all-time favorite bands. You know, yeah, I think I could do it. He said, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to set you up with an audition, and I think you're going to get it. And if you get it, you're going to put me in good standing with Tony, because I helped find him a singer. Right?
Right.
So this is Monday night. 30 people in the club. So he gives me his card. He says, call me on Friday. So 4 days I don't eat or sleep hardly.
Right.
I'm so freaked out. I call him on Friday, and the first thing he says to me is, and this is God's truth, you're not going to believe what happened. Ozzy literally just rejoined Sabbath, and they're planning a world tour. And that's when Ozzy came back to Sabbath. Mm-hmm. So it was like, half of me was like, oh my God, Ozzy's back at Sabbath since 1979. Here it is, 1998, right? And the other half of me is like Maxwell Smart going, missed it by that much. Because I'm not saying I would have got the audition, but what I'm saying is, what an honor it would have been to play one song with those guys. I would have understood what Jason Newsted felt like when he auditioned for Metallica. But to have Rob Halford's manager approach me in a little bar, 30 people in there, to try to get an audition with Black Sabbath, what a huge honor. So you never know who that one person is. That's what you just said. And you are right, and I'm living proof of it, because I didn't know he was there. Right. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. So a buddy of mine sent me some questions, and we'll try and run through them real quick. You get to the pearly gates. What do you want to hear them say to you, whether it's God or St. Peter, if you believe in God?
Well, hopefully it's one of those two, right? Otherwise, who else is he?
I don't know everybody's.
I want to hear him say that I was a good person.
Okay.
Well done.
Well done, thou good and faithful servant.
Nice.
I was really worried about you there for a bit. Glad you showed up. We're taking bets in the back.
I just said what I wanted to hear him say.
Right.
Probably
Not what he was going to say.
They're probably really going to say the elevator's over there. That goes down.
And it only goes down.
No.
Do you have a favorite cuss word?
Fuck. That's a tough one. Let me think. Well, fuck. I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know. Fuck it. Go to the next guy.
I'd say fuck. Yeah.
That's pretty frequent. Yeah.
Fucking A.
It's pretty
Fucking
pretty universal. In my house, I bought my grandmother's
What the
house. I
hell?
would say Pat, and she used like bowling partners with Jesus. I mean, I think I'm alive because of that. If I ever say that in the house, even now, and she's been gone like 3 years, I'm like, sorry, Grandma, all the time. So I try not to.
I try not to say GD, but
Yeah, I'm the same way.
That drives
I try
me
not to
crazy
say that
say
too.
that.
It's just a respect thing. It's
Yeah, that's
Although
what
we have
but
a
it
anything.
freely flows off the tongue.
we have a
Every
song.
once in a while it slips, but
We have a song called "King of the Goddamn World." Okay,
Yeah.
but the lyrics are from Lucifer's standpoint,
Right.
Which is he would say it, so that's why the song exists. But
Nice.
normally, I try not to say it.
Yeah.
well, in that case, throw an extra D on it, and then you're maybe okay.
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite sound?
Favorite sound as far as guitar or as far as
Water.
I like
Something
my-
that always catches your attention when you hear it.
rain?
Right?
Marge's voice.
Well, that's sweet.
Water and wind.
My kids, when I hear their voices.
Nice. Least favorite sound?
Oh, guitar that's out of tune.
Oh,
Okay.
Good.
Marge's voice. When she's mad at me. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
No, we understand that.
Yeah.
Men understand.
Yeah, when she's pissed
when
off
it's
at me.
both sides.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Bitching in any form.
Okay.
honestly,
Like whiny.
a
Karens and
drummer
Carls.
that's
Out of time.
out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Out of tune, too. Obviously.
Out of tune and out of time.
Yeah, timing for sure for me. I don't know if
But
that's
Out of key
being out of
singing.
time can be out of tune also.
well. I mean, as long as you can play out of time,
Well,
but in
you're
your
still-
measures.
I'm trying to learn, and I don't know if I'll ever get anywhere, but I'm trying, and I'm progressing pretty good according to my instructor. So
Did you do what?
Oh, the bass. Yeah, I like it. I like
So
that.
it's,
Yeah, right up there.
You know, music
Taking the easy
is
instrument.
a lot of music is
No, I
took it. 4 strings, buddy.
is feel from the heart. You know, you feel it, and I think sometimes, and I can only say this because I've worked with a lot of musicians. Sometimes, if you're too hard on yourself, you hinder your own growth.
Mm.
Just take a deep breath and feel it, and just enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy it. That's why people play music in the first place, usually, unless their parents force them to play piano over and over and over.
right.
But most people, they start picking up an instrument or singing because it makes them feel good to do it. Never lose that feeling of feeling good while you're doing it. Enjoy it. You know, that's what
When it
it's there
starts
for.
feeling bad, put it down and go do something else.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Come back after
know?
you relax. and-
The magic times for me have come almost like a shooting star. It's like out of the blue. And then all of a sudden you see it, you're amazed by it, and then it's gone.
Mhm.
And you happen to be a part of it. And those are the memories that you'll never lose those.
And that's what you want to capture in the recording studio, is that lightning moment of all of a sudden all the planets align and you get that cut that is just perfect. And you'll probably never be able to do it again, but you
Right.
did it and you recorded it.
You get
That's the
12
best.
albums of that.
Thank you.
Going on 13. Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to perform?
Currently, or since I've moved here.
Okay, since you've been here.
Joe's Grotto.
Okay. Damn it.
Well, it's hard on me because I've played everywhere.
Right.
One that sticks out.
One that really always stuck out for me was performing at 910 Live outside. It was an outdoor stage.
Okay.
And I just love playing outdoors.
The Mason Jar back in the day, legendary, because all of your, I mean, for crying out loud, Yngwie played on the same stage where you're playing at. It's like,
Right.
The place just was iconic, you know. The library was fun to play at till you guys burn it down. I mean, till
Right.
it burnt down.
Right. We played there, and 3 weeks later it burned to the ground.
They blamed you, right?
No, but what happened, which was really funny, real short, was it was a Thursday night, and they expected about 200 back then because they had quarter pitcher beers, whatever. 400 people showed up on a Thursday. So we're playing, and I have some video of this stuff. All the front row, they had a big brass rail around the stage, and the front row grabbed that brass rail, and they started shaking it. Well, there was like this 400-pound chick named Charity, and she was in the front, and she grabbed that thing and started, and it ripped it out of the ground. So I'm in the middle of singing, and I watched this whole giant brass rail go up and body surf all the way to the back of the club. Like, everybody grabbed it and moved it, like, and I thought, we're never playing here again. We just ripped a very expensive thing out of the floor, right? And Chuck booked us for more shows, and then 3 weeks later it burned to the ground.
Oh, wow.
Because
So I don't
that guardrail was missing.
I was at that show too because I was hanging out back by the soundboard.
You were there?
Yeah.
That's crazy, really?
I was hanging out back by the soundboard, and if I remember right, it was either Robin or Steve was running sound. I forget, but one of those two. And I was back by the soundboard because that's to where I always get the best. I feel everything's best right there, the mix. And I seen that the crowd was going crazy, and like you said, the Wells, it was endless. Bar was packed. Everybody's getting. I mean,
they were all drunk.
Everybody was shit faced, and that crowd was going. And that rail, you could see them shake, and then you seen it pop up. I was sitting in the very back, and they just passed it back like it was a crowd surfing.
And it was huge.
Yeah, it was a whole railing, a brass rail.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
Anyway, I didn't mean to take away your...
Yeah,
thunder.
The band I played with, we were called Sideshow Sicko, and our motto was, we don't play nothing for nobody, no time, no how, nowhere, you know. But our favorite show that we played only a couple times out, they loved it. But the best show that I think I played was a New Year's Eve show. I think it was '98 or '99, and the reason for that is because I met my ex-wife and had two of my 4 beautiful children. And if it wasn't for that show, I probably wouldn't have met her.
Right.
Maybe sometimes she's like, yeah, well, maybe I wish you didn't play that show, but, you know, we got some beautiful kids out of it. And
X's are X's.
Yeah, no, it was all good. I mean, very blessed. So that's my favorite show so far.
My current wife, I met her the same way. I was rehearsing in a basement, and we were getting ready. We just won a battle of the bands way back in the day, and we're getting ready to go into the studio because the prize was 10 hours in the studio or $1,000, and we took the studio time. So we're like, well, we got to record something, and we're not going to record somebody else's music, so we got to write something. So we were busy writing in the basement, writing these 2 songs for the studio. And my wife, never met her before, come walking down the stairs, and I could see that light on her hair and everything, you know, the 80s hair, big hair. And I was like, oh my God. And that was it.
Nice.
From that point on, we just had our 37th anniversary, so.
Thank God for
Congratulations.
rock and roll.
Yep.
And 80s hairdos. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I
And
hated
big
it.
fucking tits.
I don't like bands, man. I didn't like them. It wasn't one big...
That's why they put them way up.
Yeah, they did. Anyway.
Oh, that was awesome.
Crazy, all that hairspray.
Oh,
Aquanet.
yeah, but you know what? The
Tell me
girls...
Aquanet didn't make
Hey,
a
man.
ton.
But you know what? The girls, they were just as much about getting dressed up for that event, and it was
You bet.
exciting
You bet.
as the band getting dressed up for the show in the back. They were just
You
as
bet.
excited to go out to see their friends and be
If
a
you
part
put
of
the
it.
80s down, you weren't there.
That's right.
Right.
You weren't there. You certainly weren't in a band.
Right.
or your band sucked, because I was in bands all through the 80s and I had the time of my life.
The decade
Well,
of decades.
I grew up in a town of 5,600, so we didn't really have anything, and that's why when I came here, some of the pokes that I received and were okay with were that, you know, new guy. Yeah, I'm the new guy. I'm not gonna lie about it. You know, I have to learn all this.
This
all
place
over.
had a great scene in the 80s.
Yeah.
Arizona.
I'm
It was
sure.
a mecca for heavy metal.
I'm sure this place has been off the hook for a long time.
Yeah.
But having to come in and learn about it, and then, you know, some people won't come sit with me, and then, or somebody won't tell me about a band. I apparently have to go find them. Please tell me, you know, give me, you know, I have to wait. I wait for about 20 songs on Spotify whenever somebody puts new music out. 20 songs for a show, because I'm running about 2 hours, and so that it's not too long and people don't watch the whole thing. I want them to enjoy the whole show, because it's called New Music Madness for a reason. But it takes a little longer to get to 20 or 25 songs when, you know, not everybody, you know, sometimes somebody opened the floodgate and everybody's putting a song out, and I'm having to do 2 or 3 shows. But you know, then the average, you know, week for putting new music out, you know, it takes a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks sometimes, before I have a full show. And I keep finding new bands all the time, and I'm like, why hasn't anybody at least said something, you know?
Right.
I know not everybody knows about or heard the Yeti radio, but there's some people that I've met recently. I hand them a business card. Yeah, I've seen that floating around. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And not bragging. It's not
Right. It's a lot of hard work.
You know, all I want to do is give you a platform to be able to be heard on. Take the video, cut your portion of it out, use it to promote your song, because I put a little work into it.
And it takes all of us together.
Yeah.
Bands, promoters, radio people, magazines, zines, etc., etc. You know, all of us is what make that engine run. It's not just the bands or
and
the
I'm
fans.
only one person that can only be in one place at a time.
Like I said, though, you're one of those fans that every band wishes they had, because little things mean a lot to you that the band does, and that's what it's all about, you know. When you can touch someone's life by some art that you created and it does something good for them, nothing better than that. You can't buy that.
Yeah, I was bored with the shows that I did with the other stations, because I was playing everything everybody else was playing. I did it differently, and I had people that followed me for the way that I did my shows, I guess. At the time, I didn't understand it. I understand it a whole lot better now, and I'm honored that they felt that way. But I got bored, and I'm like, so I came across bands in town and looking up shows. And
No, you know Larry King. You know Larry King. She's another person like you, and of course she's suffering now.
Yes,
but
unfortunately,
when she was out there, she was the same way.
Yeah.
She'd go anywhere to all these shows to support the bands, and little things meant so much to her. And I love people like that, man. That's what
I know
keeps
of
all
her.
us
I've
going.
not had the pleasure to have met her.
She
yet,
was a
but
lot like you, and
Awesome.
she's a good friend. And she loves St. Madness.
I see why.
I'm honored by that, you know, because it was just created kind of out of nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people say 31 years, I still can't believe it. That never crossed my mind in the early days. Like, 30 years later, you'll still be doing it. What? No. But that's what happened. And I'm glad that's what happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
Just keep plugging away.
yeah.
Don't give up on it.
Well, I know-
It's like any other kind of work that you do. You know, you put your mind into something. It doesn't look like you're moving shit. You know, but then you look back and you're like, oh wow, I accomplished a lot. You know, And you don't try to; it just comes because you just keep busy.
Yeah. You retire from your career.
Yeah.
A little philosophy here, though, but the biggest, most important amount of growth that a tree does is in the silence of underground. When the roots are taking root and everything, that's what builds these giant trees. Nobody hears it, nobody sees it, but it's continually growing under there, and then all of a sudden you have this giant tree that grows. That's kind of how life is, you know. That's why it's sad when we give up too soon, because you never know.
Yeah. You might have just been a sapling.
Yeah, I've like I said, I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people, and met a few more recently, and hope to get them in here as well, and just keep plugging away and going at it and having fun. I'm waiting to try and finish what I need to do in the garage to move this into the garage so I can have a little bit more space, because I'm starting to run out of room. But it's a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to see you back on stage again. I was at the 30th.
We can't wait.
You're here.
That was.
You're at the 30th?
Yeah.
And then the last show we played was at the old Mason Jar. It was for veterans of the Mason Jar show in November. Right. And that was Evil T's last show with us, and that was our last show.
Man.
So it's about time.
It is. The drummer needs to hurry up and show up in front of the rehearsal studio and be playing when you show up for practice. And
right.
It'd be great to go up there Monday and there's 5 drummers in the parking lot.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That would go down in history. The first Yeti challenge succeeded. Well, anything else?
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Just the very last thing is that I really appreciate the time that we had with Evil T, and I miss him really bad. But I look at all the good stuff that we got to have together, and I take that with me to my grave, and I have that, and I just miss him. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my screensaver on I have a desktop computer still. I love it. But my screensaver is basically my whole life, mostly in music. So Evil T goes by at least 20 times a day, I'd say. And so do, like, anybody out there listening. If you were at any of our shows over 30 years, you're constantly showing up on my computer. And I still see all those memories, and it's really incredible. Sometimes I smoke a joint and I just sit there and stare at my computer because you never know what the next photo is going to be. It's random. And one minute I'll be on stage doing Elvis in high school and imitating Elvis Presley, and the next moment will be from our show at the Mason Jar, and then the next one will be, something from 1995, and it's really incredible. So Evil T comes up constantly, and I always tell him hi and I love him. And it's not really painful. It's just more like, damn, I wish you were still here.
Right.
But
it'll never be forgotten.
Never. No, we'll take that to our grave. That's
absolutely.
He was special. I've had a lot of friends and family pass.
All of you are that special to all of us, because it's just what permeates off of you. You fill a room. Everybody showed up here today, and I'm like, I can just feel. It's I don't know. It's one of those things some of us have. You have it, but it's just amazing. That was. Like I told you before we started, I not knowing Evil T like everybody else does, it was still caught us off guard.
Yeah, and you interviewed him at Bad Manor.
Yeah. He was there. In fact, he shared the the interview.
Yep.
This, the one that I recorded failed, and luckily we did the Facebook Live, and at least that one was good. But now we're good all the way around.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was an honor to be there and interview him, you guys, and now after his passing, get to sit in on an interview of remembering him. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
You're the first time we've ever talked about it really publicly, other than a post on Facebook.
Deeply, deeply honored, and thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No, you can call me whatever day I got available. You're here. you tell me you got something going on. You want to do an interview and put it out. Let me know. We'll set it up.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
It's what this is here for. It's an opportunity to be able to have it, to be able to share it with the people that need to see it. And maybe the right person sees it. And the going joke between me and a couple of friends of mine was the fact that somebody gets called to a record label, one of the big record labels. Hey, there's a contract. How'd you hear of us? We listen to the Yeti radio.
Right.
Nice. It ain't happening, but that's okay.
Crazier
it's a fun
things
thought.
have happened.
Crazier
to
things have
bands,
happened, for sure.
Who knows? Again, it's right time, right place, or lightning strikes, or whatever the hell it is. But I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that case. If a large label came to us and said, we want to do this or that or this and that. I don't know if I'm too old now, or if I'm in a place where I'm like, why do I want to give you everything I work for? I don't know.
Well, you have your own label, so
it would have to be something good because, okay, it's a bank, all right. A label's a bank, and when you're buying a house, right? Your house is your collateral for your mortgage, and they lend you the money to get the house, and that's your collateral. A record label, I'm a record label, I come to these guys and say, man, I want to sign you. I'm going to give you $300,000 front money, but I need to own a lot of your publishing. I need to own a lot of your merchandising because, let's be fair, I'm giving you $300,000 up front, and I have to have a way to make that money back. There's no guarantee that you're going to have a hit song or a hit album, but I believe in you. So I'm going to front this. I'm going to get you an agent. I'm going to help get you a publicist, maybe a producer, whatever. But you're going to take that money. You're going to make an album. You're going to do whatever. It's justified if they're going to put forth that trust in you from the beginning. They ask for a lot too because they're putting a lot out.
Yes.
Whereas when you do things on your own label, at least the one good thing is any money that you make goes right back to your band, and it makes you able to make another album. But that's the thing about a lot of bands go, I just want to say I'm signed. Look at how many labels have signed people and did jack shit for them.
Right.
Nothing. Except lock you in a contract, so now for 5 years you can't sign anybody else, and we can shelf you, and you can't do anything. They can take it a step further and go, you can't play any gigs that aren't union. Which means you can't play local shows. You can't do any of it unless it's union show. Wow. So labels have a lot more power over you than people think, and so don't be so quick to go, I want to say I'm signed. Well, if you're signed and it's a good deal, that's incredible. But not all deals are good deals, and you got to be smart. You got to have a lawyer.
Be careful, youngsters out there.
Right? Have a lawyer go through your shit first. If you read it, it's all going to sound good to you because they know how to do that. But there's all kinds of fine print. As you deal with contracts, Yeah. You have to have someone smarter than you look at that and go, okay, because if they're approaching you, your band, it's for them. They see money in you. It's for them. They're looking at this band going, I think we can get something out of putting these guys out there. They're not coming to you going, you guys are such nice people and your music's so beautiful. I just want to help you. That's not. It's about money at the end of the day.
They're blowing smoke up your ass.
So they see dollar signs, which is good, but you have to be careful about things you sign because you could sign your life away.
Literally.
That's going to be our next album, Sign Your Life Away.
Yeah. No, we're going to go the other way.
We might curve that somewhere else.
Dude,
anyway.
or at least a song.
Beautiful idea, dude. It's like, you said it one time, and I'm like, I hope we do that.
I hope so.
He came up with a whole album idea, and I love it so much I don't even want to talk about it.
No, I want to know, but I'm willing to wait.
And I can't do it without you.
Oh, thank you.
So if you ever walk away, I won't
stop.
do it.
He always works to take away clothes.
Totally
I'm in real estate. Come on, man.
I'm totally serious. It was your idea.
Oh, that's what it is.
Copyrighted it.
I will never do it.
That's what it is about you.
I gotcha. So
great guy, but I'm like,
no, he's
that's messed up, man.
But he's very creative, right?
No, absolutely.
And he thinks of shit that I don't think of, and I love that, because
thank you.
As soon as he said it, I was like, we got to do that. We got to do that.
Things happen for reasons, and everybody that's been in here, the right person has come along at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he said that.
Yeah.
He goes, "Where have you been?" And I'm like, "You didn't want me back in the day."
Well, you didn't want me back in the day either.
Right.
That happened for a reason. You were ready to give up, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to let you do that because you're
That's
too good."
That's exactly right.
And he's like, "Well, let's do this," and then you did it, and
12 years later, still here.
Yeah.
And it's because of him. It ain't me. I was done.
I don't blame you for feeling.
Let me say it this way: I was defeated. Mm-hmm. I felt defeated, so I was going to give up. And perfect timing.
Right. So, if anybody on here hasn't heard us, where's the best place do you all think to listen to our newest music?
Just go to Bandcamp. Just type in Bandcamp/SaintMadness.com or whatever. Bandcamp Saint Madness will take you right there. All 12 of our albums are on there, but the first album is under Crown of Thorns. There's a link, so when you get to Saint Madness, just scroll down, you'll find the Crown of Thorns link. Click that. Also, the 2 acoustic albums by Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse, they're on there too, but again, you have to scroll down and find that link, and those 2 albums are on there. And every single one of our albums you can stream for free. But if you want to own it, you have to pay to download it, which isn't $12 an album or something. But if you want to just listen to them, you can listen to every single song we've ever done for free.
Awesome. Totally awesome. Man. Okay. Well, thank you again for including me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here this time. You got to see yours, and you got to see mine, and yours is way better.
That's what she said.
Yeah. She didn't say it was bigger. She just said it was better. But, ladies and gentlemen, Saint Madness. Still looking for a drummer. So come on. Drummers, the Yeti Challenge. Be in front of their rehearsal studio. You got to figure out how to get in through the gate first. But get through and set up in front of their studio and be playing when they show up if you want the job.
Where can they hit us up at?
Facebook. Anywhere on Facebook.
Facebook.
Most people listening to this know you from Facebook, and they can find us on there.
Yeah,
St. Madness.
Absolutely. And if you can't, message me, and I'll get you hooked up with them, and or anybody here. Oh, well, you don't do anything with yours. You just have your picture there.
No,
on your Facebook.
I have 2 of them though.
Oh, you got 2? Okay.
Yeah.
I only found the one.
I'll find you on the other one.
Okay. But
thank you from Jayhawk,
Sid Ripster,
Prophet,
Sorum.
And long live the fans of metal music.
Absolutely. And hats off to Evil T.
Yes. God bless Evil T.
Thank you very much for joining the Yeti in the Backstage Lounge at theyetiradio.com, live on Twitch, YouTube, iVlog.tv, Kick, and Facebook Live. Have a wonderful evening, and thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the next interview, the next show, whatever it is. Follow the Yeti Radio on all platforms, the Yeti Radio, and be able to check it all out. Thank you again very much.
Woo.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah, there's one of those foo bars.
Welcome to the YetiRadio.com.
Don't fuck it up.